Chapter 846. Sect Leader, we are dealing with the demonic star sect in such a high-profile manner. Even if the people from the Remembrance Soul sect can't come to our rescue in time, we have already offended them. If anything happens in the future, they will definitely take revenge on us. I'm afraid we will be in trouble then. Elder Liao walked up to Feng Kenyun and said worriedly with a frown. The Remembrance Soul sect was the backer of the demonic star sect in the inner martial world. However, the two sects were very far from each other. Even if they received the news, it would be difficult for them to send reinforcements immediately. Elder Liao, you've been with me for so many years, can't you see what I'm trying to do? Feng Kenyun pursed his lips and said with a disappointed expression. I am slow-witted. Please enlighten me, sect leader. Elder Liao was sweating when he saw the sect leader's expression. He pondered for a long time but still could not figure out what to do. He could only ask for advice. We received instructions from the higher-ups to be the first to act. However, you and Elder Feng messed up the mission. After I reported it to the higher-ups, they didn't reply for a long time. They are obviously furious. If I don't think of a way to remedy this, I'm afraid we will all be blamed. Feng Kenyun crossed his arms. He was not looking at Elder Liao, but at the gate. Ah! This is indeed my and Elder Feng's fault. However, we did not expect Xiao Chen to be so powerful. After that, none of the sects who tried to snatch the information from us succeeded. Elder Liao wiped away the sweat on his forehead. He had thought that he had managed to get away with it, but who could have thought that the sect leader would bring up the matter again? He was feeling a little uneasy. Feng Kenyun shook his head and said, it has nothing to do with us whether the other sects take action or not. I have made such a big fuss because I want the higher-ups to see our determination. Even if the Remembrance Soul sect really sends people over, I will just give them the information. This way, even if the higher-ups pursue this matter, we can use our lack of strength as an excuse. We won't have to bear too much responsibility. However, we have injured so many disciples of the demonic star sect. I'm afraid the Remembrance Soul sect will not let this go. Back then, the sects in the outer world did indeed have such a rule. They forbade demon kings from interfering in the conflicts between sections. What if? Elder Liao wanted to continue, but Feng Kenyun cut him off with a wave of his hand. That rule is a thing of the past. Who would follow it now? Feng Kenyun knocked on the table and said impatiently. It was true that Elder Liao handled matters well, but he was too timid. Elder Liao hesitated for a while, but he didn't say anything. However, his expression was still a little uneasy. Feng Kenyun glanced at him and casually said, moreover, if we return empty-handed, will the Xian Yin sect let us off easily? At that time, not to mention me, even you and Elder Feng will not be able to escape responsibility. Elder Liao's heart skipped a beat. He immediately understood why Feng Kenyun was doing this. Since there was no turning back, he could only grit his teeth and bear with it. The news that the demonic star sect was attacked by the extreme ice sect spread quickly. When the other sects in the outer world heard about the situation, they all watched from the sidelines. They all thought that this was a personal grudge between the two sections. After all, Xiao Chen had killed two important disciples of the extreme ice sect. It was normal for them to come and find trouble with him. For a moment, no one thought about the meteoric iron and the forging materials. Moreover, even if it was for the forging materials, Xiao Chen was not in the sect. As for the sects in the inner world, they were even calmer. Only the sect leader of the Remembrance Soul sect was a little surprised when he received the news. However, after careful consideration, he finally decided to wait and see for a while. The reason for not lending a helping hand was also very simple. Back then, the sect master of the Remembrance Soul sect had ordered Qi Xiangmei to look for Xiao Chen to get the meteoric iron and the forging materials. In the end, Qi Xiangmei made all sorts of excuses. Not only did she not comply with the order, but she also found a lot of reasons to delay the matter. This made him very dissatisfied. Therefore, he wanted to use this opportunity to teach her a lesson and then make arrangements. Reporting to sect leader Situ, that Feng Kenyun from the Extreme Ice sect has brought people to find trouble with the Demonic Star sect. In the Awakening Heaven sect, Elder Sun was reporting to Situ Chitian. In my opinion, the Extreme Ice sect claims to be avenging their disciple, but in reality, they probably want to use this opportunity to lure Xiao Chen out and then take the opportunity to seize the forging materials and the meteoric iron. When Elder Sun heard the news, he immediately went to report to Situ Chitian. He could see more clearly than the people in the outer world and directly guessed the true purpose of the Extreme Ice sect. That's great. I want to see if those people will jump out when the people of the Demonic Star sect are bullied. Elder Sun, immediately send someone to keep an eye on them. If there's any sign of trouble, immediately inform me. Situ Chitian was very happy. Originally, he was still having a headache about how to lure the people behind Xiao Chen out. He did not expect Feng Kenyun to be so perceptive and directly take action for him. Yes, sir. Should we snatch the things in Xiao Chen's hands as well? Elder Sun asked again. After thinking carefully for a while, Situ Chitian shook his head and said, no need. Right now, whether it is the outer world or the inner world, there are many people who are coveting those things. If we act rashly, I'm afraid that the Awakening Heaven sect will become the target of public criticism. This is not good for us. How about this? I'll find a chance to discuss with the others in the sect and then make a decision. Alright, then I'll go arrange it now. Elder Sun cupped his hands and turned to go out to instruct his subordinates. In the blink of an eye, a night passed. The next morning, the Demonic Star sect was still peaceful. Feng Kenyun was still the same. He sat in the middle of the hall and stared straight at the door. His eyes were red and bloodshot. He guarded the hall for the whole night and made all the disciples pay attention to the hostages in their hands. No one was allowed to doze off. Feng Kenyun was really worried. He was afraid that the experts from the Remembrance Soul sect would come to rescue them, and he was also worried that the Demonic Star sect leader, who was in seclusion in the back mountain, would suddenly come out. He was even worried that Xiao Chen would take advantage of the night to rescue them, so he didn't sleep the whole night. But he didn't know what happened to this guy. He didn't appear for the whole night. Even if he ran here, he should be here by now. How could there be no movement at all after such a long time? Feng Kenyun was a little impatient. He didn't know what Xiao Chen was doing. Before Xiao Chen came, he didn't want to be ruthless to Yi Xiaoye and Qi Chunmei. After all, if they really fell out, there was no point in negotiating. But now, the impatience in his heart had reached its peak. He didn't want to wait any longer. Standing up, Feng Kenyun ordered his disciple to bring Yi Xiaoye and Qi Chunmei up. He was going to call Xiao Chen in front of them. What? As soon as Xiao Chen said that, Feng Kenyun couldn't wait and shouted, Xiao Chen. You don't want to see that Yi Baiya or Xiao Yi anymore, right? If you don't show up, believe it or not, I will let someone take turns on her immediately. Then, I will hang her outside the Demonic Star sect and use a whip to dip in salt water to beat her to death. Oh, I'm almost there. Wait for me a little longer. Xiao Chen replied calmly. His tone on the phone didn't sound anxious at all. How much longer do you need? Give me an accurate time, or don't blame me for being rude. Feng Kenyun was furious when he heard this. He wanted to beat him up, but he couldn't do anything to him over the phone. He could only shout fiercely. Oh, I'll come after breakfast. You haven't had breakfast yet, right? Do you want me to bring you one? Xiao Chen said nonchalantly. His tone was like Feng Kenyun's good brother. You! How dare you play with me? Feng Kenyun was so angry that his lungs were about to spit fire. He pointed at Yi Xiaoye and said, Xiao Chen, you're good. Eat as much as you want. My men are hungry too. I'll let them eat your wife now. Let's see if you're still so fearless then. While shouting into the phone, Feng Kenyun waved his hand. The eyes of those disciples immediately lit up and they approached Yi Xiaoya. They had stayed up all night and were worried that there was nowhere to vent their anger. Yi Xiaoya's eyes were filled with fear. She tried to move back, but she was not as fast as those disciples. Bang! One of the disciples had just stretched out his hand and was about to tear off Yi Xiaoya's clothes when they heard a loud noise. Everyone was shocked and turned to look, only to discover that the door behind them had been kicked open. They saw Xiaochun standing leisurely outside the door with a deep-fried dough stick in his mouth and some breakfast in his hand. The fried dough stick in this restaurant tastes terrible. It's much worse than mine. It seems that they'll go out of business sooner or later. Xiaochun mumbled while stuffing the fried dough stick in his mouth. Then, he swaggered in. Looking around the room, Xiaochun really found someone familiar. He stared at Elder Liao and said, "Old man, you're the one who came up with this stupid idea, right? How dare you call me and threaten me? Now that I'm here, let her go. You're just a loser. Why are you so arrogant?" Humph. Elder Liao glared coldly at Xiaochun and said through gritted teeth, "Sect leader Feng, Xiaochun is a cunning brat. Not only did he ambush Elder Feng and severely injure him, he also killed many of our extreme ice sect's outstanding disciples. You must be careful not to fall into his trap. Crazy sect leader. I finally understand. No wonder your sect is called the sect of ailments. So even the sect leader is a crazy person. But it's no wonder. Even a normal person would go crazy with a bunch of brainless disciples like you." Xiaochun glanced at Feng Kenyun and said leisurely as he ate his fried dough stick. Chapter 847. How dare you? Feng Kenyun was completely infuriated by Xiaochun's nonchalant attitude. He slammed the table and activated his mental cultivation. Instantly, he revealed the strength of a level 1 demon king. He said coldly, "Don't talk nonsense. Xiaochun, since you're here, don't even think about going back today. Hand over the meteoric iron and the forging materials. Maybe if I'm in a good mood, I'll leave your corpse intact." The reason why Feng Kenyun chose to use force instead of killing Xiaochun was because he was afraid that Xiaochun had already hidden the meteoric iron and the forging materials. So, he wanted to kill Xiaochun after he got those two things. Oh, that's amazing. You actually have the strength of a level 1 demon king. You almost scared me to tears. Xiaochun was expressionless. He said coldly, "Are you done showing off? If you are, let go of Yi Xiaoya and her master. Maybe if I'm in a good mood, I'll leave your corpse intact." Feng Kenyun was extremely surprised. He turned to Elder Liao and asked, "Did I hear it wrong? What did he say? He wants me to let go of those two girls and leave my corpse intact." Elder Liao also had a perplexed look on his face as he chimed in, "Sect Master Feng, I think this Xiaochun is probably stupid. Does he think there's no difference between a level 1 demon king and a level 8 demon general? And he wants to leave our corpses intact? Huh. Are you two performing a comedy? Stop bullshitting and let them go. Then find a place to kill yourselves. That way, I won't have to do anything and waste my energy." Xiaochun said impatiently, "I've killed quite a lot of people these days. If I kill a few more, I'll become a big demon." Xiaochun didn't want to act rashly. After all, Yi Xiaoya and Qi Xiangmei were still in their hands. It would be bad if they were used as a shield by the extreme ice sect. He had to find a suitable opportunity to snatch the two of them over first. What an arrogant brat. Feng Kenyun was so angry that he laughed. He pulled Yi Xiaoya and Qi Xiangmei in front of him, leaving only their faces exposed. When Xiaochun saw this, his eyes flickered. He already had an idea in his mind. Feng Kenyun didn't notice the look in Xiaochun's eyes. Instead, he mocked, they're right here. Come and take them if you can. One of them is your wife, and the other is an elder of your sect. Both of them are in my hands now. Unless you don't want to let them live, you better hand them over to me. Oh, how about this? Let's make a deal. You release Yi Xiaoya and Qi Xiangmei first. Then, I'll give you the meteoric iron and the forging materials. Not a bad idea, right? Xiao Chen's lips curled into a sneer as he gently negotiated with Feng Canyon. Elder Liao stood aside and looked at Xiao Chen as if he was looking at an idiot. Do you think our sect leader is a fool? Unless he's retarded, why would he return the hostages to you? Alright, it's a deal. Looking at Xiao Chen, Feng Canyon's mind was suddenly in a mess. He nodded and lightly pushed Yi Xiaoya and Qi Xiangmei, indicating that they could walk over. The two girls were stunned. They didn't know what Feng Canyon was trying to do. After looking at each other, they made up their minds and quickly ran towards Xiao Chen. Sect Master Feng, what are you doing? Elder Liao was dumbfounded, and he asked in bewilderment. He was sure that the sect leader wouldn't be so retarded. How could he release the two hostages in the blink of an eye? What else could they use to threaten Xiao Chen? What? What's going on? Feng Canyon's body trembled. He suddenly reacted and looked at Yi Xiaoya and Qi Xiangmei who had already run over. Only then did he realize that things had gone beyond his expectations. Feng Canyon tried his best to recall what had happened. It was as if he was being controlled by someone. His brain and body didn't listen to his commands at all. Feng Canyon looked up and saw that Xiao Chen was looking at him mockingly. He immediately understood what had happened. He pointed at him and shouted, "Xiao Chen. Are you the one behind this?" "I don't know what you're talking about," Xiao Chen shrugged and said. He then untied Yi Xiaoya and Qi Xiangmei. You. Feng Canyon knew that he had lost in the last round. He rolled his eyes and changed the topic. You said that if I release the hostages, you'll give me the thing. Everyone here heard it. We're all from the outer martial sects. We have to follow the rules. Now that I've released the hostages, shouldn't you hand over the thing? Oh, don't you want this? Xiao Chen didn't waste time talking to him. He took out the meteoric iron and shook it in front of Feng Canyon. Feng Canyon's breathing became heavier. Xiao Chen, since you know the rules, then this. Well. I don't have any use for it anyway. It's quite heavy. Xiao Chen tossed the meteoric iron in his hand and threw it at Feng Canyon. Since you want it, I'll give it to you. At least you know what's good for you. What? Seeing that Xiao Chen actually took the initiative to hand over the meteoric metal, Feng Canyon was immediately overjoyed. He thought to himself that this kid was really stupid. Just as he was about to reach out to take it, he felt that the meteoric metal that was coming toward him carried a violent demonic aura. When Feng Canyon felt that something was wrong and wanted to dodge, it was too late. Dong! The meteoric iron didn't fall into Feng Canyon's hands. Instead, it smashed into his chest, making a muffled sound. Feng Canyon was sent flying with the rock, landing heavily on the ground. His chest caved in as well. After landing, Feng Canyon spat out a mouthful of blood. He didn't look at Xiao Chen immediately. Instead, he turned around and stared at Elder Liao in disbelief. He said in a hoarse voice, How could he be at the peak of the first level of the Devil King? Didn't you say, he's only at the peak of the 8th level of the Devil General? Elder Liao's face turned pale with fright when he saw this. He had just run to Feng Canyon's side when he heard Feng Canyon's question. He immediately panicked and stammered, This. Sect leader, when Elder Feng and I met Xiao Chen, he was indeed at the peak of the 8th layer of the Demon General realm. Maybe he hid his strength on purpose. That's why we misjudged him. Feng Canyon gritted his teeth and turned his head back inch by inch. He pointed at Xiao Chen and stammered, You, little brat, How dare you lie to me? Before he could finish, Feng Canyan's vision went black and he fell to the ground. He breathed his last breath unwillingly. You're a level 1 devil king. You can't even catch a rock. You're so useless. Xiaochen waved his hand and looked coldly at the trembling disciples of the extreme ice sect. He didn't wait for them to kneel down and beg for mercy. He shot a few fireballs at them and burned them to ashes. How dare you kidnap my wife Xiaoyi and have improper thoughts about her? Even 10 lives wouldn't be enough to pay for it. I'll let you off easy by killing all of you. Xiaochen blew out the fire in his hand and swaggered to the only one left, Elder Liao. Okay, it's your turn now. Speak. Are you going to give up your land and pay for it, or are you going to fight to the death? I'll pay for it. I'm willing to give up my land and pay for it. Elder Liao's legs had already turned to jelly by Xiaochen's Yama methods. He was sweating profusely. He was afraid that if he didn't speak fast enough, he would also be burned by Xiaochen. Xiaochen crossed his arms and looked at him with a half-smile. Elder Liao quickly asked politely, Hero Xiaochen, how much do you want me to pay for it? Name a number. As long as I can afford it, I won't let you down. As he spoke, Elder Liao's legs trembled uncontrollably. Even Feng Moyun, a Demon King level 1 expert, was defeated by Xiaochen in one move. What was there left for him to resist? It would be best if he could pay for it. Oh, I was thinking that your poor sect probably doesn't have much money, right? I won't ask for much. I'll just pay you 10 billion. Xiaochen said casually. What? 10 billion? Our extreme ice sect doesn't have that much money. Elder Liao almost fell to the ground with a bitter expression. Normally, Elder Liao was also in charge of the sect's finances, so he knew the sect's financial situation like the back of his hand. If he had to fork out 2 or 3 billion, he would still be able to scrape together the money with some difficulty. Who would have thought that Xiaochen would actually ask for 10 billion? Even if he sold the extreme ice sect, he wouldn't be able to get that much. TSK. Look at you. You're not sincere at all. You don't look like you want to give up your land and pay for it. Xiaochen looked at Elder Liao from the corner of his eyes. If that's the case, I'll give you a chance. Fight back bravely for once. If you don't fight back this time, you won't have another chance. No. Hero Xiaochen, please let me think twice. Elder Liao almost peed his pants. His eyes darted around and suddenly, his gaze fell on Yi Xiaoye who was standing behind Xiaochen. You haven't thought about it yet? Then don't think about it. Fight back. My time is limited. I don't have the time to play the thinker with you. Xiaochen said impatiently as another fireball appeared in his hand. I've thought about it. I'm going to transfer all the assets of the Extreme Ice sect to the Demonic Star sect. Then, we can turn our Extreme Ice sect into a subsidiary sect of the Demonic Star sect, and all of our income will be given to the Demonic Star sect. Elder Liao was on the verge of going crazy, and he hurriedly voiced out the idea that he had just thought of. In his opinion, Xiaochen was standing up for the Demonic Star sect. If he handed over the entire sect, Xiaochen's anger would be appeased, right? Xiaochen raised his eyebrows and said reluctantly, I see. All right then. I'll give you 3 days to complete the relevant procedures as soon as possible. Otherwise, you know what the consequences will be. The corner of Xiaochen's mouth curled up as he made a, expression. Chapter 848. Elder Liao nodded and didn't dare to say anything else. He was afraid that Xiaochen would ask for other conditions, so he quickly carried Feng Kenyun's body and left. Not bad, kid. After Elder Liao left, Yi Xiaoye suddenly patted Xiaochen and said excitedly, It's only been a few months, and you've already advanced to the peak of level 1 Demon King. You've leveled up too fast, it's like the speed of light. Ouch. Caught off guard, Xiaofan staggered from the slap. After stabilizing himself, he touched his nose and smiled, hee, actually, I'm already at the peak of level 2 Demon King. I didn't want to expose too much before, so I didn't show it. Don't take advantage of me. Why don't you say you're already at the peak of level 10 Demon King? Yi Xiaoye rolled her eyes at him and sighed gloomily, but you're too good at pretending. If I knew you were so powerful, I wouldn't have to worry about you for the whole night. After the excitement, Yi Xiaoye couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. It was just like the saying, comparisons are odious, and comparisons are odious. When the two of them dual cultivated together, there wasn't much difference in strength. Now, she was still at the peak of level 3 Demon Master, but Xiaofan was already at the Demon King level. The strength between the two of them could be said to be as far apart as the Milky Way. However, besides feeling disappointed, Yi Xiaoye was also very glad. Since she was Xiaofan's wife, they would have plenty of time to dual cultivate in the future. Besides, so what if her strength was low? As long as Xiaofan could protect her, it was fine. Wasn't she saved by him today? He should have saved the entire Demon Star sect. Xiaofan, I really have to thank you this time. Another female voice sounded. It turned out to be Qi Xiangmei. She walked over and said sincerely, if it weren't for your help, I'm afraid the demonic star sect would have been destroyed by Feng Canyun. Qi Xiangmei was indeed very grateful to Xiaofan. Actually, Xiaofan did not need to come and help at all. Even if the entire sect was threatened by the extreme ice sect and Shi and Xiaoyi were taken as hostages, it would be normal for Xiaofan to reject them. After all, he was only a nominal disciple of the demonic star sect and the demonic star sect had never helped him much. She did not expect him to come in the end. You don't have to be so polite. No matter what, I'm still a disciple of the Devil Star sect. Since the sect is in trouble, and it was caused by me, then I should come. However, the revival of the Devil Star sect might require some effort. Although I have placed the Extreme Ice sect under the sect, it will still be up to you guys to decide what to do next, said Xiaofan with a smile. Qi Xiangmei shook her head and said, don't say that. I'm already very grateful that you came. You don't have to worry about the rest. I'll go to the back of the mountain now and report everything to the sect leader so that he can take charge of the situation. You and Xiaoyi haven't seen each other for a long time. You guys can chat first. Qi Xiangmei was also an experienced person. She knew that Xiaofan and Yi Xiaoye had reunited after a long time and had a lot to talk about. Thus, she gave some instructions to Yi Xiaoye and ran to the back of the mountain to give up her position. When only Xiaofan and Yi Xiaoye were left in the hall, Yi Xiaoye's pretty face suddenly turned serious. She asked fiercely, tell me the truth. Did you do it with other women behind my back when I wasn't around? Otherwise, how could you have leveled up so quickly? For Xiaofan's special way of leveling up, Yi Xiaoye already had a deep understanding. After he did it with her previously, his level rose like a rocket. So now that she saw Xiaofan's level suddenly become so high, Yi Xiaoye began to have doubts. Ugh, actually, when I broke through to the first level of Demon King, I relied on the few myriad crossing king fruits given by Joyful Clan's smiling Mithraea. As for the subsequent breakthrough, it was really a bit of a romantic encounter. Xiaofan scratched his head. He didn't intend to hide it from Yi Xiaoye, so he directly told her about his recent experience. He didn't omit the part about Ling, but he told the truth. So that's the case. Yi Xiaoye finally understood the origin of the whole thing. She couldn't help but pout. She felt a little uncomfortable. I didn't expect you to have a relationship with the people of the inner martial arts circle. According to your leveling speed, it may not take long before you can do whatever you want in the inner martial arts circle. At that time, there will probably be more women coming to you. You won't be able to handle it. Xiaofan didn't respond directly. Instead, he sighed slowly with a helpless expression. Why are you sighing? I didn't say anything wrong. Yi Xiaoya snorted and couldn't help but pinch Xiaochen. AI. Some people. I came all the way to save her. Not only did she not say thank you, she even got jealous of a woman. I'm so wronged. I already said that I was the one who was F***ked. Your husband, suffered a big loss. Instead of loving me, you actually mocked me. Xiaochen covered his heart and said, pretending to be sad. TSK, who's jealous? Yi Xiaoya rolled her eyes at Xiaochen and replied with a lack of confidence. In fact, she knew very well that the outer martial arts circle was the same as the inner martial arts circle. They had always retained the ancient traditions and customs. It was normal for men to have multiple wives, but women needed to be faithful to each other. She was just a little unhappy at the moment, so she threw a tantrum. Besides, with Xiaochen's current status and identity, not only was he the demon sect master of the outer martial arts circle, but he was also an expert of the demon king level. His achievements in the future would definitely be greater. Even if he married a few more wives, no one would say anything. Instead, people would think that it was normal. Smack. While Xiaochen wasn't paying attention, Yi Xiaoya quickly kissed him on the cheek. She blushed and said, all right. This is my repayment for saving my life. Otherwise, you'll say that I'm heartless. Xiaochen touched his face in surprise. Before he could say anything, Yi Xiaoya quickly asked, oh right, how long are you staying in the demonic star sect? When are you leaving again? I might not be staying for too long. When the people from the Extreme Ice sect send the money over and reorganize the demonic star sect, I'll be leaving after things are on the right track. I have to send the forging materials to Yanjing. Speaking of business, Xiaochen sighed helplessly. He thought he could reach Yanjing smoothly, but he didn't expect so many things to happen on the way. Not only did he take a lot of detours, but he also wasted a lot of time for no reason. It's not long. Then let's hurry up and do dual cultivation. You're already a demon king level expert now, and I'm just a demon master. If I could raise my level to demon general before, I wouldn't be caught so easily this time. I have to increase my strength quickly. Yi Xiaoya stomped her feet and dragged Xiaochen to her room impatiently. Oh. Then, do you want to do dual cultivation, or something else? Xiaochen didn't stop Yi Xiaoya. Instead, he teased her as he followed her inside. Of course it's dual cultivation. But if you want to do something else, I can't stop you. Anyway, you have to help me increase my strength first. Yi Xiaoya's face was so red that water was about to drip out. But you haven't eaten the breakfast I bought. Xiaochen turned to look at the breakfast that was thrown on the ground and said hesitantly. What breakfast? I'll eat you instead. Yi Xiaoya said fiercely and closed the door with a bang. Then, she pulled Xiaochen to the bed, to do dual cultivation, or something else. Inside Qi Tian Gate. News spread very quickly in the pugilistic world. When Situ Qitian heard that Xiaochen had easily killed Feng Canyon and had not only swindled the Extreme Ice sect out of a lot of money as compensation, but he had also lost his sovereignty and joined the demonic star sect, he could not sit still any longer. After thinking about it repeatedly, Situ Qitian simply sent an invitation letter and gathered all the leaders of the demon sects in the inner martial arts world for a meeting. He wanted to discuss a way to snatch the extraterrestrial meteoric iron and forging materials from Xiaochen in the future. All the leaders of the sects were attracted by Xiaochen's materials and attended the meeting. In the beginning, the meeting went smoothly. Everyone reached an agreement on the matter of snatching Xiaochen's materials. Since Xiaochen was already a demon king, he was equivalent to half a step into the inner martial arts world. In addition, he was in the outer martial arts world and would not affect the agreement in the secular world. Therefore, these sects in the inner martial arts world could openly take action. As for Xiao Chen, he was originally from the secular world and was only a nominal disciple in the Demon Star sect. These things were selectively forgotten by the major sections. However, what Situ Qitian didn't expect was that when discussing how to snatch it, the major sects had a huge difference in opinion. Some proposed to lobby Xiao Chen, and some said to use force to deter him. The small sects hoped to unite and fight together, but the big sects thought that they only needed to recommend a few of their most powerful masters to snatch it. In the end, the various sects began to pass the buck to each other, mocking and ridiculing each other. Some sects even saw each other as enemies and were particularly jealous. They directly quarreled and almost rolled up their sleeves to put on an all-out show. Situ Qitian tried his best to persuade them, but not only did it have no effect, but it also attracted the cold eyes of many sections. In the inner martial arts world, Qitian's sect had always been the dominant sect, occupying all the high-quality resources, which had long made the sects unhappy, so no one was willing to listen to Situ Qitian's command. After arguing for a whole day, everyone was almost exhausted. In the end, they could only take a step back and agree with each other that all the sects would snatch their own and not interfere with each other. They would rely on their own ability, and whoever snatched it would keep it. However, everyone also tacitly agreed on an unwritten rule. This agreement was limited to before snatching the forging materials. As for after, it was another matter. If any accident happened on the way back, then the sect could only blame its bad luck. Chapter 849. However, although there was an agreement on the surface, there were still a few weaker sects who felt that their chances of success were not high if they participated in the robbery alone. Even if they managed to snatch the materials, they would not be able to defend against the sneak attacks of other powerful sections. Therefore, they formed an alliance in private and planned to work together. After snatching the forging materials, they would share the resources. After the major sects had dispersed, Elder Sun walked in from outside the door, as if he had something to report to Situ Qitian. Reporting to sect leader, I just received a piece of news. It is said that the Six Directions sect and the Yin Yun sect have joined forces to obtain the forging materials. However, it seems that they have not started researching immediately. The reason seems to be that the materials are incomplete. I also heard that they continue to send disciples to secretly contact Xiao Chen. Do you think it is necessary to send someone to investigate? Elder Sun asked respectfully. Yes, send someone to keep an eye on them. However, remember, do not act rashly and alert the enemy. Awakening Heaven sect currently has too many enemies. We cannot have any more conflicts with the righteous sections. Situ Qitian felt a headache when he thought of the mess in today's meeting. Elder Sun also understood the meaning of his sect leader's words. He nodded and said, "Yes, I will let them pay attention." Situ Qitian solemnly instructed, "Currently, the focus of our Awakening Heaven sect is mainly on Xiao Chen. This kid's strength has risen too quickly. We originally hoped that the group of trash from the Extreme Ice sect would be able to lure those people out. Who would have thought that not only did they not succeed, but they also lost their own lives. That Feng Kenyun is simply an idiot. Rest assured, sect leader. I have already arranged for Xiao Xing to bring people to the Devil Star sect. I guarantee that they will successfully complete the mission. Oh right, other than snatching the forging materials, do you want to let Xiao Xing teach Xiao Chen a lesson? Xiao Xing's strength is enough. We can see if those people will make a move." Elder Sun had a strange smile on his face as he said sinisterly. "Absolutely not." Situ Qitian waved his hand and directly rejected Elder Sun's suggestion. He said in a low voice, "You must remember, we can frame Xiao Chen and let the other sects find trouble with him, but we cannot directly make a move against him." "Yes, I understand. I will go and pass down the instructions now." Elder Sun replied solemnly. When he saw that Situ Qitian had no more instructions, he bowed and turned to go out to handle his affairs, Xiaofan stayed at the Devil Star sect for 2 days. After receiving the compensation from the Extreme Ice sect, he was ready to set off for Yanjing. Sigh. You're leaving tomorrow, and I don't know when you'll be able to dual cultivate with me again. Now, I'm going to be alone again and slowly cultivate. When will I be able to raise my strength to the Devil General level? In the room, Yi Xiaoya supported her cheeks with her hands and sighed. Although the past 2 days of dual cultivation with Xiaofan had already raised her strength to the peak of the 5th level of the Devil Master, Yi Xiaoya still felt that it was not fast enough. Are you addicted to leveling up? It had only been 2 days, and he still felt that it wasn't enough. If other demonic cultivators could advance 2 levels in such a short period of time, they would probably be overjoyed. Be careful not to go too far and end up going berserk. Xiaofan shook his head and teased with a smile. Cut it out. My goal is to become a devil general. Don't compare me with those ordinary demonic cultivators, humph. Yi Xiaoya poked Xiaofan's forehead and said angrily, also, remember to tell me the next time you go to seek pleasure. I don't want to be treated as a fool and be kept in the dark. Dong, dong, dong. Xiaofan rubbed Yi Xiaoya's head and was about to reply when a series of urgent knocks sounded on the door. Frowning, Xiaofan went over to open the door and found Qi Dongmei standing outside with a solemn expression. Xiaofan couldn't help but ask in surprise, Senior Qi, you? Qi Dongmei hesitated for a moment and said, Xiaofan, there's someone outside who claims to be young Master Xing from the Awakening Heaven sect. He said he's here to settle scores with you. I delayed him for a while, and then many elites from other sects came. They're all in the guest hall now, and they're threatening to ask you for something. Do you think you should escape with little Yi? Escape? Why should I escape? They just want the forging information. I'll give it to them. Xiaofan shrugged his shoulders and said nonchalantly. He walked quickly to the guest hall. Yi Xiaoya was worried that something would happen to him, so she followed closely behind. The Demonic Star sect's guest hall was crowded with people. They were all people from the inner martial arts circle that they could not normally see. The disciples of the Demonic Star sect knew that they could not afford to offend anyone here, so they had long hidden far away. Little Miss Xing was a little depressed. She originally thought that since she was the first to arrive, she should be able to teach Xiaofan a lesson. She didn't expect to be blocked by Qi Dongmei. After waiting for a short while, the people from the other sects arrived one after another. The unhappy little Miss Xing couldn't be bothered to greet the people from the other sections. Seeing that Xiaofan and Yi Xiaoya had arrived from afar, she hid in the crowd. There were so many people now, so there was no need for her to stand out. Anyway, she had made up her mind today to fish in troubled waters. As long as Xiaofan appeared, he would be asked for information by the people from the inner martial arts circle. According to Xiaofan's unparalleled character in the outer martial arts circle, he would definitely not be willing to hand it over directly. At that time, the elites of these sects would naturally attack him. Even if Xiaofan was at the Demon King level, he definitely wouldn't be able to withstand the attacks of so many inner martial arts circle people at the same time. Little Miss Xing was very clear about her goal. When Xiaofan couldn't withstand the attacks and needed to escape, she would follow closely. If any sect was about to snatch the information, she would interfere. If Xiaofan ran too fast for others to catch up, she would pretend to stop him. Anyway, she couldn't let the people from the inner martial arts circle succeed, and she couldn't let Xiaofan run too far. As long as she created the illusion that Xiaofan was being chased for thousands of miles, the sect's goal would naturally be achieved. At this time, the people from the other sects had already seen Xiaofan coming over. They all rushed over and directly formed a circle, staring at him like a tiger watching its prey. One of the young masters, who was probably the descendant of a big sect, swaggered over and said arrogantly, Xiaofan, you are quite bold. You actually dare to come out. I think you should know why we came to the Demonic Star sect today, right? Xiaofan's gaze swept over the young master, then looked around at the people around him. Suddenly, his eyes lit up and he laughed loudly. "Yo, isn't this young Master Lady Boy? You brought so many people to the demonic star sect. Are you going to cause trouble?" The young master was furious and shouted sternly, "Who the F***ck did you say is Lady Boy?" Before he finished speaking, Xiaofan took large strides towards a certain direction in the crowd. He extended his hand and pulled out a person who was hiding in the crowd and almost couldn't be seen. In this way, the young master's words could only be stuck in his throat. "He wasn't talking to you at all, so why are you talking?" However, the person who was pulled out by Xiaofan looks familiar. The young master took a closer look. Isn't this young Master Xing from the Awakening sect? The people from the other sects also looked at each other, their eyes full of doubt. Young Master Lady Boy? I've never heard of young Master Xing having such a title. Could it be that he had a personal relationship with Xiaofan in the past? Looking at young Lady Xing who was dressed like a man, Xiaofan couldn't help but snicker in his heart. "You are obviously a little girl, why do you have to dress up as a man? Are you afraid of being molested with your 10th level great perfection of the Demon King? You are the Lady Boy." Young Lady Xing was suddenly pulled into the middle of the crowd. She was still in a daze. Hearing that, she glared at Xiaofan fiercely and gritted her teeth in anger. She wanted to break free and slip back, but Xiaofan's hand held her tightly. "Don't mind these details." Xiaofan patted young Lady Xing's shoulder with his other hand and asked, "What do you want to do at the Demon Star sect today? Do you want my forging information?" Young Lady Xing was stunned. Why did Xiaofan take the initiative to mention forging information? Could it be that he wants to have a head-on clash with these people? But I only plan to be a bystander at the side. Now that I'm standing under the eyes of the crowd, how can I muddy the waters? No, I'm just passing by. Young Lady Xing stammered for a while, wanting to play dumb and muddle through the matter first. "Why are you being so polite with me?" Xiaofan waved his hand and said sincerely, "Senior Qi has already told me that you are all here to ask for something from me. Look at you, saying that you are just passing by. Hey, tell me. Are you all here to ask for forging information from me?" Xiaofan turned to ask the young man. The young man finally found his presence. He quickly puffed out his chest and put on a proud look. "Yes. I advise you to be sensible and hand over the things. Look at how honest he is." Xiaofan immediately interrupted the young master's words. He shook Miss Xing's arm and said, "I knew you wanted forging information. You should have said so earlier. How would I know if you didn't tell me?" Young Lady Xing was about to vomit blood. Her face was as black as the young man beside her. However, one was because she became the center of attention, while the other was because she couldn't make her presence known. "Alright, stop talking. Forging information, right? Isn't it just sitting here?" Xiaofan bent down lazily and took out a document from the foot of the table beside him. He passed it to young Lady Xing without hesitation. This action immediately made the jaws of the surrounding people drop. What? Xiaofan actually handed over the information just like that? Previously, when they asked the sects of the outer martial arts world to fight for it, why didn't Xiaofan take it out? Moreover, did they see wrongly just now? Xiaofan actually used forging information as a footrest. Xiaofan looked around at the shocked crowd and sneered in his heart. In fact, he deliberately admitted defeat. In this environment, the difference in strength between him and the enemy was too great. Moreover, he had to take care of the safety of Yi Xiaoya and the others from the demonic star sect. It was impossible for him to fight recklessly. Chapter 850. Thus, he might as well take the initiative and directly hand over the forging information. After all, the forging information he gave to little Chick Xing had already been modified by the Elder Heaven Ancestor, so it was no longer of any use. In the future, no matter who took it back, they would be able to turn the meteoric iron into scrap. As for what little chick Xing was up to by hiding in the crowd, Xiaochen couldn't be bothered. Now that he had handed over this hot potato, what happened next would have nothing to do with him. You used the forging information as a table leg? Little chick Xing couldn't even speak clearly. She blinked her eyes and subconsciously took the forging information. She wanted to open it and take a look, but she was afraid that people from other sects would swarm over and snatch it. Thus, she could only hold the information tightly in her hands. But when she regained her senses, little chick Xing began to feel depressed again. What was going on? Originally, she wanted to hide in the crowd and frame Xiaochen, causing him to be surrounded by all the sections. Then, she would take the opportunity to fish in troubled waters. Why was he so scared now? Little chick Xing really wanted to directly return the forging information to Xiaochen, but she couldn't do so in front of so many people. After thinking for a while, she could only bite the bullet and accept it. At the same time, she comforted herself, even though I didn't succeed in framing Xiaochen, at least I got the forging information. As for framing him, I'll think about it again in the future. Oh, it's said that the most dangerous place is the safest. If I knew you were here for the forging information, I would have directly sent someone to give it to you. It would have saved me the trouble of coming out personally. Xiaochen shook his head and said lightly, now that you got the information, is there anything else? If there's nothing else, please go back. I still want to dual cultivate with Yi Xiaoya. F***CKU. Yi Xiaoya didn't think that Xiaochen would openly talk about dual cultivation. Caught off guard, she blushed and rolled her eyes at him. The way the people from the surrounding sects looked at young Master Xing changed. Young Master Xing and Xiaochen were indeed in cahoots. Xiaochen and young noble Xing seemed to be on good terms with each other. His sect had sent so many people, but they were all beaten back by Xiaochen. Who would have thought that with a single sentence from young noble Xing, Xiaochen would hand over the forging materials so easily? Who would believe that there was nothing fishy going on between the two? When they saw the information in young Master Xing's hands, their gazes became even more heated. Now that Open Heaven Gate had obtained the forging information, the previous agreement was invalid. When he returned, these people began to exchange glances and think about what to do next. Little Miss Xing didn't notice the gazes of the surrounding people. Instead, she looked at Xiaochen with disdain. You're talking about dual cultivation, in broad daylight. You really have no sense of shame. It's not like I'm dual cultivating with you. Why do you care about my honor? Alright, hurry up and go, my schedule is very busy. Xiaochen waved his hand impatiently and was about to turn around and leave. Wait. Little Miss Xing suddenly thought of something and hurriedly called out to Xiaochen. Since you're so straightforward, why don't you just hand over the meteoric iron as well? There's no use for you keeping it anyway. Little Miss Xing wasn't stupid. If she only had the forging materials, then she would have a lot of pressure to deal with. But if she had the meteoric iron, she might be able to divert a portion of people's attention. Oh, I've already returned the meteoric iron to the research facility. If you want it, you can go and get it yourself. With your strength, it won't be a problem. I have high hopes for you. Xiaochen dragged Yi Xiaoya away as he dragged his voice. Prince Ladyboy, I won't be sending you off. If you like it here, then continue to stay. Remember to pay for the entrance fee. What a waste. You. Little Miss Xing stomped her feet in anger, but she couldn't do anything to Xiaochen. She could only glare at him as he walked into the room and shut the door. Although she was a little angry, Little Miss Xing didn't continue to argue with him. Actually, the meteoric iron was something that all the large sects had. The Awakening Heaven sect was no exception. It wasn't that rare, but they didn't know how to forge it. Therefore, even if Xiaochen didn't give it to her, Little Miss Xing didn't intend to force him. She simply kept the forging materials, called out to her own sect, and angrily left the Devil Star sect to report back. After walking out of the Devil Star sect, little Miss Xing cursed Xiaofan in her heart. Then, she and a few other disciples used their movement techniques and quickly rushed back. However, they didn't walk far before she suddenly thought of something and stopped. She took out the forging materials from her bosom and started flipping through them. She had left in a hurry just now, so she didn't have time to verify the authenticity of the forging materials. Now that she thought about it, Xiaofan gave it a little too straightforwardly. Little Miss Xing suspected that he didn't give her a fake one, right? She took the materials and carefully looked through them. Little Miss Xing didn't find any problems. The forging materials that Xiaofan gave seemed to be exactly the same as the ones she had seen in the research center. Only then did she feel more at ease. It seemed like this brat was really afraid and didn't dare to give her a fake one. However, she didn't know that Xiaofan had already changed the forging materials according to the Elder Heaven Ancestors' instructions. However, the changes weren't too big. He only made some adjustments to some of the data. A rough look wouldn't reveal any difference. Unless Suinda personally checked it, ordinary people wouldn't be able to see the difference. Stop. If you know what's good for you, hand over the things in your hands. Otherwise, don't even think of leaving alive. Little Miss Xing had just put away the forging materials when she suddenly heard a cold voice in front of her. Little Miss Xing looked up and saw 3 people blocking their way. The people who came were dressed in black from head to toe. Their faces were also covered with black cloth. Only their eyes were exposed. It was impossible to tell which sect they were from. The awakening sect disciples were shocked and took a few steps back. Although they were mentally prepared for a sneak attack, they still panicked when they saw someone blocking their way. You guys have such big words. Little Miss Xing knew that the journey wouldn't be peaceful, and she didn't want to be entangled with people. She snorted coldly and directly revealed the strength of the 10th level of the Demon King realm. She arrogantly said, "Since you dare to openly rob us, I think you should know my identity. The awakening sect isn't something you can provoke. Hurry up and scram. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite." 10th level of the Demon King realm. The 3 men in black were slightly stunned and looked at each other. They really didn't expect the strength of this fair and clean guy in front of them to be so high. It seemed that they had underestimated the enemy by rushing out rashly. However, the leader quickly calmed down. He rolled his eyes and also revealed the strength of the peak of the 9th level of the Demon King realm. He looked at the other 2 meaningfully and ordered, "Second brother, let's join forces to deal with this kid. Third brother, you go and get rid of all his subordinates. Don't leave a single one alive. Then, come and help us." "Yes." The second brother simply responded and followed the leader to attack Little Miss Xing. The third brother also silently rushed to the awakening sect disciples. When those disciples saw someone attacking, they were still calm. They showed their strength and prepared to defend. Little Miss Xing cautiously stared at the approaching leader and second brother. She also wanted to help those disciples, but she couldn't even take care of herself. However, in her opinion, it would really take a little time for the third brother to get rid of so many disciples. She might as well try her best to get rid of the 2 in front of her first, then it wouldn't be too late to rescue them. Humph. You overestimate yourselves. Go to hell. After making up her mind, Little Miss Xing snorted and channeled her mental cultivation. She slapped the leader with her left palm and attacked the second brother's chest with her right palm. What she didn't expect was that the 2 people who were rushing towards her actually dodged and floated away, causing her 2 palms to hit nothing but air. Suddenly, a strong demonic chi came from behind her. Little Miss Xing realized that something was wrong. When she wanted to avoid it, it was too late. She could only endure the palm. Puff. Although the strength of the person who attacked from behind was not high, it seemed to be only at the 9th level of the Demon King realm. However, little Miss Xing's attention was on the two people in front of her. Her back was completely undefended, so she was caught off guard. She was still hit and spat out a mouthful of blood. The forging materials that she had hidden on her body also fell to the side. TSK, it seems that although your strength is high, you are a stubborn brat. Looking at little Miss Xing, who stumbled forward a few steps, the third brother sneered. The person who sneak attacked little Miss Xing just now was him. It turned out that when the leader gave the order, the three of them had already reached a tacit understanding. Letting the third brother deal with the Awakening Gate disciple was just a feint. The real purpose was to sneak attack little Miss Xing from behind. The leader and the second brother would first attract little Miss Xing's firepower. After she attacked with all her strength, they would disperse in time. The three of them had cooperated for a very long time. With just a glance from the leader, the second brother and the third brother had completely understood his intention and executed a perfect attack. At this time, the leader and the second brother had already killed all the Awakening Gate disciples around them like they were cutting melons and vegetables. The battle quickly ended, and the two of them also surrounded them. You are really despicable. Little Miss Xing's face was a little pale. She suppressed the pain in her body and said hatefully. Although she had the strength of the Demon King Realm 10th level, she had only been out for a short time. She didn't have enough on-the-spot experience, so she was careless and fell into their trap. Despicable? The third brother laughed strangely and said disdainfully, haven't you heard of the saying that there is nothing too deceitful in war? You have a body full of skills, but I didn't expect your brain to be so bad. What a waste of your high strength. The leader walked to the side and picked up the forging information that had fallen on the ground. After confirming that there were no mistakes, he ordered coldly, third brother, don't talk nonsense with him. We can't stay here for long. Quickly get rid of him before we leave. Hee, brat, blame yourself for getting this information. Go to hell. The third brother didn't waste time. He laughed and raised his palm to slap little Miss Xing. Chapter 851. Little Miss Xing gritted her teeth and directly met Lao San's palm. With a "pa" sound, both of them took a step back. Little Miss Xing spat out another mouthful of blood. Her face had already turned from white to deathly pale. There were traces of blood at the corner of her mouth, making her look a little terrifying. The third brother did not attack immediately. Instead, he stared at a piece of cloth on the ground with an ugly expression. When he exchanged blows with Xing, the wind from her palm had blown the black cloth off his face. Although Xing was seriously injured, she stared coldly at the third brother and sneered, "So it's you." The third brother was the young man who had stood up when they surrounded the Devil Star sect. At this time, he no longer had the frivolous playboy from before. Instead, his face was serious and he looked at Xing ferociously. When the leader saw this, he frowned and glared at the third leader. Originally, they had completed the mission perfectly and their identities were not even exposed. Now, they were seen by Xing Chick. The third brother felt a little embarrassed. He said fiercely, "There is a path to heaven, but you refuse to take it. There is no door to hell, but you insist on breaking through. Since you have seen it, don't blame me for being merciless." As he said this, he used the secret technique of the sect. He was prepared to kill Xing directly. With a "pa" sound, before OL-3's attack could even reach her, Xing Las quickly waved her hand. A thick purple smoke suddenly appeared in front of her, directly covering her figure. The third brother wanted to rush in and kill her, but he was worried that the smoke was poisonous, so he had to stop. When the smoke dissipated, Xing was nowhere to be seen. Looking at the empty surroundings, the third brother said coldly, "Damn, he's not that stupid. He actually ran away. That kid has some ability. You still dare to say that? If you hadn't dawdled just now, he wouldn't have seen your true face." The second brother, who had been silent all this time, said helplessly, now he already knows our identity. There will be a lot of trouble in the future. He is seriously injured now. He can't run far. Besides, there are still our people guarding in front. Let's catch up quickly. We have to eliminate the root of the problem. As long as we kill young Master Xing before he escapes back to the open heaven gate, there will be no problem. The leader frowned. After saying that quickly, he immediately strode forward. The second and third brothers also used their movement skills to follow. After the three of them walked far away, a rustling sound came from the grass by the roadside. A figure stood up. It was the injured Xing lass. After throwing the smoke grenade, she didn't run away immediately. Instead, she hid in the grass by the roadside, which fooled the three of them. Sigh. Looks like we can't return to the Awakening Heaven sect for now. Looking in the direction the three left in, little Lady Xing gloomily turned her head and returned to the Demon Star sect. She had heard the conversation between the three people just now. If she continued forward, what awaited her would be an inescapable trap. With her current strength, she would definitely not be able to escape. It was better to return the way she came and hide in the Devil Star sect for a while. She would return after her injuries recovered. Devil Star sect, Yi Xiaoya's room. Yi Xiaoya and Xiao Chen dual cultivated for a while. There were no signs of a breakthrough, so she lost interest. Thinking that Xiao Chen was about to leave, she was reluctant to part with him. She simply stopped cultivating. The two whispered for a while and began to be entangled. Just as the two of them were passionately in love, Xiao Chen was about to advance when he suddenly froze and stopped, as if he sensed something. It can't be. You are too weak. We haven't even started and you're already done. Yi Xiaoya waited for a long time, but she didn't see any movement from Xiao Chen. She couldn't help but pout and complain in a low voice. Could it be that the two of them had made love too many times in the past few days that Xiao Chen's physical strength was exhausted? Shoo. It seems like someone has snuck in. Stay in the room and don't move. I'll go out and take a look. Xiao Chen's expression was a little solemn. He put on his clothes, got out of bed, and ran out the door. Although a beauty was right in front of him, Xiao Chen still didn't let down his guard. His divine perception was constantly released, just in case. Just now, he had sensed a trace of familiar demonic aura, so he had made a prompt decision and immediately felt his way over. When Yi Xiaoya heard Xiao Chen's words, she couldn't help but jump in fright. Really? Don't scare me on purpose. Seeing that Xiao Chen had already rushed out, Yi Xiaoya thought about it, put on her pajamas, and followed. She also wanted to see which daring fellow Xiao Chen had discovered. Following the trail of his divine perception, Xiao Chen came to the back garden of the Devil Star sect. After walking around, he faintly felt that the person seemed to be hiding in a room that was piled with junk. Xiao Chen first circulated his yuan qi to protect his entire body, then he carefully walked over and pushed open the door. Who is it? Just as the door was pushed open, a vigilant voice came from the woodshed. Xiao Chen felt that this voice was somewhat familiar, so he simply turned on the lights. He was surprised to find that in the corner of the woodshed, little Chick Xing was sitting on the ground, staring at him with vigilance. Oh, I was wondering who had nothing better to do than barge into the Devil Star sect. So it's young Master Transvestite. Xiao Chen sized her up and said indifferently. You're the transvestite. Little Chick Xing glared at Xiao Chen with a lack of confidence. Xiao Chen was also a little puzzled. Didn't little Chick Xing already take away the forging materials? She didn't hurry back to open Heaven Gate, but instead hid here. What tricks was she playing? However, when he saw little Chick Xing's pale face and the trace of blood at the corner of her mouth, he roughly understood what was going on. You took the materials and didn't leave. Instead, you hid in the Devil Star sect storeroom. What's wrong with you? I didn't expect that other than playing with your gender, you also like to play with trash. After understanding the reason, Xiaofan mocked her. Who asked you to play tricks on me before? Now you won't have a good ending. Cough cough. Little Chick Xing coughed awkwardly. Her eyes rolled and she said in a deadpan manner, I just felt that the heaven and earth spiritual chi here is especially abundant, so I wanted to cultivate here for a while. Is that not okay? Do I have to pay you for the use of the site? You're cultivating? I think you're about to go berserk, right? If you want to hide here and cultivate to heal your injuries, just say it. What's the point of talking about such useless things? Xiaofan rolled his eyes and said in a bad mood. This little chick was clearly injured by someone, yet she still lied with her eyes open. Little Chick Xing was exposed directly. Her face was a little embarrassed. She said angrily, You. Why do you care? I just borrowed the Devil Star sect's place to rest for a night. What's the big deal? If you talk nonsense again, believe it or not, I'll beat you until you can't take care of yourself. Aren't you talking nonsense? I'm a disciple of the Devil Star sect. You borrowed my place to rest. Do you think I can't care? Besides, with your current injuries, you still want to beat me up? Don't accidentally cripple yourself and then sit on the ground crying. Xiaofan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He didn't expect this chick to be someone who refused to admit defeat. Humph. Little Chick Xing also knew that she was in the wrong, so she simply stopped arguing with Xiaofan. She pouted and turned her head away. After she was injured, her current strength had basically declined to the Demon King level 1. If she really fought with Xiaofan, she really wouldn't have any advantage. Therefore, in this situation, she could only choose to be shameless. Xiaofan, what happened? Yi Xiaoya also walked in at this time. When she realized that it was young Master Xing, her face couldn't help but change. Why is he here? Don't tell me he's here to find trouble with you again. That's not it. This gigolo who is neither a man nor a woman was probably injured by someone. I don't know what's wrong with his brain, but he actually wants to hide here for a night. I was just thinking of chasing him out. Xiaofan shrugged and explained. You're the gigolo. If it weren't for those people using despicable means to sneak attack me, I wouldn't have been injured. Now, all the disciples that came out of our sect are dead, and the forging materials have been stolen. What bad luck. Little Chick Xing thought of what happened just now and frowned. She was very angry in her heart. What made little Miss Xing even more depressed was that not only were the forging materials on her stolen, but she also discovered that she had lost her phone when she arrived here. She didn't know if it was sent flying by those 3 people or if it was lost while she was escaping. Otherwise, she could have called Elder Sun and asked him to find some reinforcements. She originally wanted to sneak into the Devil Star sect, find a place to heal, and hide for a night. In the end, she was discovered by Xiaofan and found out. She was really unlucky. Forget it, Xiaofan. Let her stay for a night. It doesn't matter anyway. With Xiaofan's hint, Yi Xiaoya also saw that young Master Xing was a woman disguised as a man. Although she didn't really like him, she could feel that he didn't have any ill intentions. Seeing a girl beaten up so badly, Yi Xiaoya didn't feel a bit of sympathy. Since no one usually came to this storeroom and she had nothing to do, she might as well lend it to her. Alright, since my wife is so merciful and has spoken, and seeing that you are so down and out, I'll let you off for the time being. Xiaofan stretched and casually waved his hand. He hugged Yi Xiaoya and prepared to leave. Hey, wait! Little Chick Xing suddenly thought of something and hurriedly called out to Xiaofan, that. Can you give me some healing medicine? I can buy it with money. Name a price. You're really troublesome. You can't even treat such a small injury. Xiaofan shook his head in disdain. He took a few steps in front of Little Chick Xing, grabbed her hand, and began to heal her. You! Little Chick Xing thought that Xiao Chen was acting indecently. Just as she was about to get angry, she suddenly felt a wave of pure demonic qi enter her body. Only then did she realize that Xiao Chen was using demonic qi to heal her. After a while, little Chick Xing felt that her injuries were slowly healing. It was no longer a big problem. She was very grateful to Xiao Chen for repaying evil with kindness. She couldn't help but blush and say, "All right. Thank you. I can heal myself now. You don't have to waste any more demonic qi." Chapter 852. I'll be leaving then. Don't be too touched. The healing medicine is too expensive. I'm afraid you won't be able to afford it. Just treat it as you owe me a favor. You can pay me back in the future. Xiao Chen let go of Miss Xing's hand, turned around, and left the storeroom, closing the door behind him. You! Miss Xing was both angry and amused. Why is this person so annoying? Even if he's helping others, he's still asking for a beating. Miss Xing's heart was filled with mixed feelings as she watched Xiao Chen shut the door heavily after he left. There was also a hint of warmth in her heart. Are you close to that girl? Yi Xiaoya asked teasingly after he returned to his room. Not really close. It's just that when she went to the research center to steal the forging materials. Xiao Chen shook his head and briefly described how the two of them got to know each other. Oh, I see. I thought the relationship between you and her. He. Yi Xiaoya raised her eyebrows and made an expression that said, "You know what I mean. TSK, you women are really gossipy. Speaking of which, do you still want that thing? If not, I'm going to sleep. We still have to hurry on the road tomorrow." Xiao Chen said in a bad mood. Of course. Yi Xiaoya quickly turned off the lights and pounced on Xiao Chen. The two of them continued their dual cultivation. The next morning, Xiao Chen got up and released his divine sense to scan the area. He could no longer sense Miss Xing's aura. She must have left. He said goodbye to Yi Xiaoya and Qi Xiangmei and continued driving towards Beijing. Since the forging materials had been stolen, no one would pay attention to Xiao Chen's movements. The rest of the journey was smooth and Xiao Chen smoothly arrived at the research center's headquarters in Beijing. The headquarters security was very tight. There was a huge military base outside, and no one could easily break in. Even if they were martial artists, if they entered recklessly, they would be targeted by missiles and instantly turned into minced meat. After confirming Xiao Chen's identity, the guard immediately opened the door and let him into the research facility. Sun Beikong, the person in charge of the research on forging, was already waiting for him at the entrance after receiving Ling Tian's call. Deputy Bureau Chief Xiao Chen, right? Hello. I'm Sun Beikong, a researcher from the Yanjing Research Institute. Thank you for your hard work. Seeing Xiao Chen come in, Sun Beikong greeted him with a smile. He extended his hand enthusiastically and shook hands with Xiao Chen. Hello, Professor Sun. Nodding his head politely, Xiao Chen embarrassedly smiled. I'm really sorry to have made you wait for so long. There were quite a few problems along the way, or else I could have reached Beijing earlier. Xiao Chen didn't lie. There were many problems along the way, and it was basically a platter of schemes and plots. If it wasn't for the fact that Xiao Chen wasn't weak, he would have died along the way. It's a pity that the meteoric iron was stolen. Luckily, I still have the forging materials with me. Otherwise, I really wouldn't be able to report back. Xiao Chen took out the original copy of the forging materials and handed it to Sun Beikong. In any case, the forging materials that he gave to young Master Xing were trash that the Elder Heaven Ancestor failed in his research. It couldn't be considered as being stolen, so he didn't say anything. As for the meteoric iron, he wanted to use it to make flying swords, so he naturally said that it was stolen. The research institute didn't really need it anyway. Before arriving at Yanjin, Xiaochen had already spoken to Ling Tian on the phone and told him everything that had happened on the way. However, he skipped the part about handing over the forging materials and only said that he had handed over the meteoric iron. Ling Tian knew that Xiaochen was surrounded by all the sects in the martial arts world. While he was deeply shocked, he expressed his understanding and gave Sun Beikong a call in advance to explain the situation. Sun Beikong patted Xiaochen's shoulder. He wasn't unhappy at all, but he praised him. Bureau Chief Ling has already told me about your recent encounters. Actually, the meteoric iron isn't that important. The key is that you are a rare talent. The most important thing is that you were able to escape from the encirclement of so many people and reach Beijing safely. He felt that Xiaochen was able to become the Deputy Bureau Chief of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau at such a young age. His future would definitely be limitless. Moreover, he had also experienced the encirclement of various sections. One had to know that those who were sent out to carry out missions were the elites of the elites. It was even more rare that Xiaochen was able to hand over the forging materials unscathed. You flatter me, Professor Sunday. You are too kind. Xiaochen replied humbly. All right, I think you must have had a hard time running around these few days. I have already asked someone to prepare a room for you. You can rest here for a few days before you leave. Sun Beikong laughed and waved his hand. He turned around and instructed his subordinates, Shaolin, bring Deputy Bureau Chief Xiaochen to his room to rest. Prepare some lunch and send it over to him. All right, Deputy Bureau Chief Xiao, this way please. Shaolin hurriedly walked over and gestured for Xiaochen to follow him to the staff's dormitory. In the room, Xiaochen casually ate something. Just as he was about to go out for a stroll out of boredom, he suddenly heard the voice of Elder Heaven Ancestor. Ha ha ha. It's finally done. Looks like I'm still pretty awesome. Elder Heaven Ancestor shouted excitedly. It scared Xiaochen so much that he almost jumped up. He looked around to make sure no one was paying attention to him. He quickly closed the door and turned around to return to the room. Elder Heaven Ancestor, is it really okay for you to always be so surprised? If I get scared to the point of mental illness, no one will be able to take care of you in the future. Xiaochen muttered helplessly. He didn't know what was wrong with this Elder Heaven Ancestor. He always liked to suddenly scare him. It's okay. Go crazy. Even if you really go crazy, I can cure you. Don't worry. Elder Heaven Ancestor replied casually. He then sent a document to Xiaochen's mind and said proudly, Xiaochen, I have compiled the materials for forging the meteoric iron for you. Just follow this method to forge the flying sword. There will definitely be no problem. Oh. Master, you are really amazing. I will go and have a look. Xiaochen was also overjoyed. He quickly sat down and directly entered his divine sense space. After flipping through a few pages, he realized that he didn't understand it at all. He had to call out the flame of the 9 underworlds and let it read the materials. Not long after, the flame of the 9 underworlds finished reading the materials. It took the initiative to ask, Master, I have read it. When do you plan to forge the flying sword? I can start at any time. Then let's do it now. Xiaochen made a decision. Then, he carefully took out the meteoric iron. Suddenly, he thought of something and asked the flame of the 9 underworlds, Nethery, how long do you estimate it will take to forge the flying sword? If it's too long, you can forge it in your room. I have to go out for a walk. Otherwise, people will be suspicious if I stay here. Master, I estimate it will take at least 2 days. The flame of the 9 underworlds thought for a while and gave its answer. Oh, then you can start. I will walk around. Xiaochen nodded and left the room. He locked the door from the inside to prevent people from entering by mistake. The flame of the 9 underworlds received the order and found a corner to start forging the meteoric iron. Although Xiao Chen was already the deputy director of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, it was useless in the headquarters of the Research Institute. There were still many places that he couldn't go to. He could only walk around a limited number of places. Moreover, he didn't know anyone here. Although Sun Beikong was very warm to him, he still had his own things to do. Xiao Chen didn't want to disturb him too often. In the end, he could only stay alone and bored for 2 days. However, the flame of the 9 underworlds was still punctual. When the 2 days were up, it finished forging the flying sword. Seeing that it was a success, Xiao Chen waited for nightfall and used the excuse of returning to Lan City to report. He bid farewell to Sun Beikong and left the headquarters of the Research Institute in Yanjing. Originally, Sun Beikong wanted to let Xiao Chen drive the repaired Jetta back. However, Xiao Chen said that he had driven for too long and didn't want to waste time on the way back. He wanted to fly back, so he left the car behind. Seeing that Xiao Chen said so, Sun Beikong had no choice but to follow his wishes. He sent Xiao Chen to the entrance of the Research Institute's headquarters before bidding farewell reluctantly. Outside the city, Xiao Chen weighed the flying sword that was forged with the meteoric iron in his hand. He realized that not only was it lighter than a normal flying sword, but there was also a mysterious meaning of the heaven and earth Tao in the flying sword. It also felt like he was connected to it, so he could use it easily and smoothly. Taking advantage of the night, Xiao Chen stepped on the flying sword that he had forged and sped towards Lan City. Because the flying sword was extremely fast, it didn't take Xiao Chen long to reach his destination. He then went straight to the Supernatural Investigation Bureau to report back. When Ling Tian heard that Xiao Chen had returned, he immediately stopped what he was doing and called him to his office. Xiao Chen, the mission this time was too dangerous. I'm relieved that you came back safe and sound, Xiao Chen said. Ling Tian looked at Xiao Chen with a gratified expression. He wanted to praise this great hero in person. If it wasn't for him, this mission would have ended in failure no matter who it was. Hee, Grandpa Ling, you're worrying too much. Although I did meet with quite a bit of trouble on the way to Yanjing, it was more daunting than dangerous. Grandpa Ling, you don't have to worry too much about my safety. Xiao Chen waved his hand and smiled. However, at this moment, Xiao Chen was thinking, if I didn't pass the fake forging information to Xing Las in front of everyone to divert the attention of the various sects, I'm afraid that I would have been bothered for a long time. You can't say it like that. You are my most capable subordinate, and if anything were to happen to you, the strength of our secret investigation department would be greatly reduced. Furthermore, Ling Tian suddenly stopped mid-sentence, a look of hesitation on his face. Chapter 853. Looking at Ling Tian's hesitant expression, Xiao Chen asked, Bureau Chief Ling, did something happen again? Just tell me, I can handle it. Ling Tian sighed at Xiao Chen's words and continued, although you have completed your mission this time, I feel that, things may not be over yet. You have to be wary of the people in the inner martial world, in case they take revenge on you. What do you mean? Did Bureau Chief Ling receive some news? Xiao Chen raised his eyebrows and asked curiously. I have already given away the hot potato of forging information, why would there still be people from the inner martial world looking for trouble with me? Have they fallen in love with me or something? Ling Tian nodded slightly and pulled open a drawer. He took out an invitation letter and passed it to Xiao Chen. With a solemn expression, he said, this was sent over by the Kuei Mountain sect 2 days ago. They said that they are going to hold a crusade against the outer martial world and specially invited you to attend. Crusade? To think that they could think of something like that. What the heck is this? Xiao Chen took a look at the invitation letter and could not help but laugh as he shook his head. There were a few lines of flamboyant words written on the gilded invitation letter. Recently, something tragic happened in the outer world of martial arts. The sect master of the outer world's demon sect, Xiaofan, who had just been elected, was actually openly robbed by the various sects. This is really infuriating and exasperating. Because of this matter, the Kuei Mountain sect has decided to hold a crusade against these shameless sects that participated in the robbery. This crusade will be held at the Kuei Mountain sect on XX month XX day XX year. At the same time, the current devil sect leader, Xiaofan, will be invited to host the event. I feel that this matter is definitely not that simple. It could be a plot by the Kuei Mountain sect. Why don't you go? Ling Tian did not laugh with Xiaofan. Instead, he frowned and said. Xiaofan did not think much of it. Instead, he patted the invitation letter in his hands and said, since there is such a fun event, of course I have to go. Besides, I have some personal grudges with the Kuei Mountain faction. This is a good opportunity to settle the score with them. Xiaofan was no fool. Although he did not know the purpose of the Kuei Mountain sect's actions, he was certain that it was not to stand up for him and punish some evil sect. But if they really wanted to deal with him, they wouldn't give up just because he didn't attend the subjugation assembly. Why didn't he give them a chance and see what these clowns were up to? In addition, Xiaofan missed Miss Cheng Menjing quite a bit. He wanted to take this opportunity to see how she was doing. If he could rescue her from the Quishan sect, that would be even better. Although Xiaofan had successfully fought for the 3-year promise with the help of Vice President Nian, with his current identity as the Deputy Director of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau and the sect leader of the Demon Sect, he could simply ignore the original promise and barge into the Quishan sect to take Cheng Menjing away. Another important point was that to the people of the martial arts world, strength was the symbol of everything. Back then, Xiaofan's cultivation had not reached his current level, so even with his various identities, he could not openly oppose the Quishan sect. However, things were different now. Now, Xiaofan had the full support of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. Although the title of the demon sect leader was just an empty shell, he already had the strength equivalent to the peak of the second stage of the Demon King. This level was enough to look down on the entire martial arts world. Therefore, even if he openly stepped into the Quishan sect and took Cheng Menjing away, Xiaofan did not have the slightest bit of fear. In the Quishan sect, Ma Peizha was gloomily preparing for the crusade. Although he thought for a long time, he did not understand why such a meaningless meeting was held. However, since it was an order arranged by the higher-ups, he could only execute it obediently. While he was busy, Ma Baobao's cell phone suddenly rang. He looked at the caller ID and quickly picked it up. He said in a respectful tone, "Elder son, the preparation for the crusade has come to an end. I've also informed the heads of all the sections. I guarantee that it will be a great event to attract people's attention. Do you have any other instructions?" "Well, Xiaoma, has Xiaofan replied to you?" Elder son asked faintly on the other end of the phone. "I have already sent someone to send him an invitation. I think he should come after receiving it." After all. Ma Peizha was immediately interrupted by elder son before he could finish his sentence. "Should? What do you mean by should? How do you do things? Didn't I tell you that you must invite Xiaofan? Don't you know what must means? He is the protagonist of this crusade. If we can't confirm whether he will come or not, then what's the use of holding this meeting?" Elder son flew into a rage and scolded sternly. But I don't have his phone number. So I can't contact him directly. I can only. Ma Peizha felt a little wronged and wanted to refute. But elder son did not give him any chance at all. He interrupted again, "You don't have his number. Are you waiting for me to help you find him?" Elder son's cold tone made Ma Peizha quiver. He quickly said, "No. No need. I will definitely complete the task well. Make sure Xiaofan arrives on time." Elder son snorted coldly and said, "That's good. Let me tell you, no matter what method you use, you must invite Xiao Chen here. Otherwise, you can forget about being the sect lord." Having said that, elder son hung up the phone. When Ma Peja heard the beeping sound from the phone, he could not help but shiver. Although he was incomparably depressed, he had no other way. He could only order someone to quickly search for Xiao Chen's contact information. In fact, Ma Peja did not know that holding this crusade to denounce Xiao Chen was fake. The real purpose was to highlight the position of the demon sect lord of the martial arts world. And this was precisely the dirty trick that Situ Chitian thought of. Situ Chitian originally wanted to use the forging information to frame Xiao Chen so as to lure out those people behind him. In the end, the scene that Situ Chitian expected did not appear. Instead, he was schemed against by Xiao Chen. This fellow actually gave the forging information to little Chick Xing directly, making Awakening Heaven sect the target of public criticism. Little Chick Xing fled for a night and finally returned to Awakening Heaven sect with great difficulty. After knowing about this, Situ Chitian was so angry that he stomped his feet. Other than issuing a kill order to recover the forging information, he also hated the cunning Xiao Chen to the core. He wanted nothing more than to cut him into pieces and feed him to the dogs. But now that things had come to this, Situ Chitian could only think of other ways to frame Xiao Chen. That was why he had previously asked Elder Sun to call the people from the Kuei Mountain sect and let them hold a crusade. On the surface, it seemed to be to denounce those sects for robbing Xiao Chen. The dignified demon sect lord of the martial arts world was actually robbed. It was obvious that they did not respect the Kuei Mountain sect. The real purpose was actually to emphasize Xiao Chen's identity and thus lure out those people. It was precisely because Awakening Heaven sect placed great importance on this crusade that when Elder Sun heard that Xiao Chen might not necessarily show up, he scolded Ma Peja. Xiao Chen was the main character of the crusade. If he did not show up, who was he going to perform for? After bidding farewell to Ling Tian, Xiao Chen was about to return to his dormitory to rest when his phone suddenly rang. "Hello, who is this?" Xiao Chen realized that it was an unfamiliar number, so he asked calmly. Hero Xiao Chen, I'm Ma Peja from the Kuei Mountain sect. We met once during the Demon Sect Lord election. Do you still remember me?" Ma Peja pinched his nose and laughed it off. "Oh, it's you. Why are you looking for me? Do you want me to beat up your son again?" Xiao Chen was amused. How could he not guess what this guy wanted to do? However, Xiao Chen did not have a good impression of the people from the Kuei Mountain sect. These people had been constantly coming up with ways to frame him since he had not started cultivating. First, it was Chao Yuliang, then Chen Jinpeng, then Cheng Zhongfan and Cheng Mengqiang. It was endless. If not for the fortuitous encounter, perhaps Xiao Chen would have died in their hands long ago. And that Yao Baoang, a toad lusting after a swan's flesh, dreaming of marrying Miss Cheng as his wife. I wonder if this guy's horse fever has flared up. If he is still alive, I can send him on his way to the Kuei Mountain sect. You. Ahem, Hero Xiao Chen, you really know how to joke. Ma Peja's expression changed. Just as he was about to flare up, he suddenly remembered the strict order from his superior. He could only suppress his anger and said with a smile, I just want to confirm if you have received the invitation from the Kuei Mountain sect. We warmly invite you to come. If it is convenient for you, I will send someone to fetch you to the Crusade Conference. Oh, I have received the invitation, but... Xiao Chen dragged out the last word. But what? If you have any request, Hero Xiao Chen, please let us know. If the Kuei Mountain sect is able to fulfill it, we will definitely help you fulfill it. Ma Peja was very nervous and asked hurriedly, fearing that Xiao Chen would come up with something again. But you don't seem to know the rules. Don't you know that I have to pay an appearance fee when I'm invited? Since you are so insincere, I don't think I need to go. The corner of Xiao Chen's mouth twitched, and he said with a faint smile. Don't, isn't it just an appearance fee? We can afford it, just name your price. Ma Peja hurriedly agreed, but in his heart, he was cursing Xiaochen for being a leech. This guy is too shameless. I was kind enough to stand up for you, but you don't thank me. Instead, you want me to pay you? How the f***ck am I supposed to reason with you? Oh. Since you are so sincere, then I won't ask for more. I'll give you a discount. 500 million. Once the money is in my account, I will go over. Xiaochen said lightly. He did not lack money at all. He just wanted to disgust Ma Peja a little. 500 million. Ma Peja gasped. Was he kidding? The Kuei mountain sect's annual income was only a little over 1 billion, and Xiaochen directly asked for 1/3 of it. What a scam. Chapter 854. Why? Do you have any objections? Xiaochen asked in return. No. No. I'll transfer the money to you right now. You can check the account later. Ma Peizhao said with a twisted face and gritted teeth. Ma Peizhao was angry and hateful, but he did not dare to refuse. If he angered Xiaochen and did not come, he would not be able to bear the consequences if the higher-ups blamed him. Hurry up. Xiaochen replied and hung up the phone. He walked leisurely in the direction of the dormitory. Ma Peizhao first cursed at the sky 3 times, then helplessly transferred the money. Then, he quickly called Xiaochen. As soon as the phone was connected, before he could speak, he heard Xiaochen say, "All right, I've received the appearance fee. You don't have to come and pick me up. I'll call a Didi car. Don't forget to reimburse me. That's all." After that, Xiaochen hung up the phone. Xiao. Ma Peizhao had just opened his mouth when he heard the busy tone from the other end of the phone. He was so angry that he smashed the phone. F***ck, I gave you so much money and you still want to reimburse me? When you come, I'll teach you a lesson. Ma Peizhao yelled at the broken phone. Although Awakening Sect had strictly ordered him not to lay a hand on Xiaochen, Ma Peizhao thought that he had ways to deal with him. Anyway, it was fine as long as he did not kill him. Xiaochen only stayed in the dormitory for 1 night. The next day, he was ready to leave for the Qiushan sect. Although there were still some days before the start of the crusade, the purpose of his trip to the Qiushan sect was to visit Miss Cheng Menjiang, not to participate in the conference. So, he might as well go there early. While the sky was still dark, Xiaochen did not alert anyone. He drove his flying sword to the vicinity of the Qiushan sect. After confirming that he was not being followed, he kept his flying sword and swaggered towards the gate of the Qiushan sect. Stop. Who are you? Which sect are you from? What is your purpose in coming to the Kuei mountain sect? When the disciple guarding the door saw a young man walking over, he immediately stopped him. With a vigilant expression, he interrogated him without any explanation. Oh, I'm Xiaochen, a disciple of the Devil Star sect. I'm here to participate in the crusade, Xiaochen replied unhurriedly. Demon Star sect? Xiaochen. The gatekeeping disciple was taken aback. He felt that the name sounded familiar, but he couldn't recall where he had heard it. He took out the guest list he had received in the morning and flipped through it several times. He realized that there was no record of the Devil Star sect's name. Stop staring. I'm a VIP guest invited by Ma Baozhu. Just go and inform him and ask him to come out and welcome me. Xiaochen waved his hand and said. These people from the Kuei mountain sect were too blind. As the leader of a demonic sect, they didn't recognize him at all. Xiaochen didn't know if they were pretending or not. Oh, you talk big, huh? You want our sect leader to come out and welcome you personally? How arrogant. Your Devil Star sect isn't on the guest list, and you have the nerve to come and join in the fun. The gatekeeping disciple confirmed again and was sure that Xiaochen was here to fish in troubled waters. He chased him away impatiently. Get lost. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Xiaofan laughed coldly. You're just a gatekeeping disciple. Why are you pretending to be a big shot? Get Ma Baozhu out now, or you'll have to bear the consequences. The gatekeeping disciple jumped up like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. He hated people calling him a gatekeeping disciple the most. Now that he was being insulted by an unknown brat, he was furious. Are you trying to scare me? The gatekeeping disciple glared at Xiaofan and scolded, This is the Kuei Mountain sect, not your Devil Star sect's countryside. Look at your tattered clothes, do you really think you're somebody? Get lost now. You can look down on me and my clothes, but you can't look down on my sect. Xiaofan's words baffled the gatekeeping disciple, but in the next second, a foot flew over. Ow, the gatekeeping disciple was scolding to his heart's content. One of his fingers was still pointing. Caught off guard, he was sent flying and landed on the ground not far away. After spitting out a mouthful of blood, he lay motionless. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. The commotion was so huge that many of the Kuei Mountain sect disciples who were cultivating were startled. When they came out to take a look, they found the disciple guarding the door lying on the ground like a dead dog. There was a sloppy-looking guy standing outside the door. Someone was causing trouble? The disciples rushed over and surrounded Xiaofan. Some even ran into the sect to inform the sect leader, Ma Baozhu. Brat, you've got guts. How dare you cause trouble in the Kuei Mountain sect? Are you tired of living? You're blind, you dog. Is the Kuei Mountain sect a place for you to behave atrociously? Don't you want your eyes anymore? Brothers, keep an eye on this fellow. We'll deal with him when the sect leader arrives. The crowd cursed, but no one dared to make a move. The gatekeeping disciple was still lying on the ground. They were not stupid. They knew they were no match for Xiaofan, so they only surrounded him from afar. Xiaofan was attacked by a group of people, but he did not care. He looked around, smiled contemptuously, and turned to leave. When the disciples saw Xiaofan turn and leave without a word, they thought Xiaofan was afraid of them. They became arrogant and mocked him even louder. Coward! Now you know what fear is. I thought you'd be more awesome. You only dare to bully the weak. You've become timid after seeing so many people. Trash! You want to leave after hurting the Kuei Mountain sect's disciple? When the sect leader arrives, he'll cut you into pieces. Scum! That's right. It's useless for you to run. The sect leader will catch up to you in an instant. All of you, shut up. A thunderous roar came from behind them, and the cursing stopped immediately. It was the sect leader, Ma Baozhu, who had arrived. The disciples eagerly opened up a path for him. Ma Wuxia rushed towards Xiaofan with large strides. The disciples all felt that it was very praiseworthy. The sect leader was indeed powerful. As expected, he wouldn't let Xiaofan off. The disciple who spoke earlier said, "Look, didn't I say that the sect leader would chase this coward in seconds?" Ma Baozhu did catch up with him in seconds. However, after catching up, he turned around and scolded them, "Are you blind? How dare you offend the new evil cult master and embarrass yourself here? Hurry up and go back. You'll all be grounded today. Face the wall and reflect on your mistakes." Gah! The Kuei Mountain sect's disciples were about to complain. Some of them had already prepared a script, but when they heard the sect leader's words, they were dumbfounded. Their mouths were agape, and their eyes were wide open. "Didn't you hear what I said?" Ma Baozhu was furious when he saw the disciples' insolence. Only then did the disciples come to their senses. They were frightened by the sect leader's rage. They scattered like birds and beasts, covering their heads and scurrying away. They went back to the sect to reflect on their mistakes. Ma Baozhu, it seems like the Kuei Mountain sect doesn't welcome me as a guest. If that's the case, I'd better leave, lest I get scolded here. Sigh, it's a good thing that I'm a well-mannered sect leader. If it were me when I was younger, I'd have killed these people with one slap. Xiao Chen sighed and pretended to leave. Ma Baizha cursed in his heart. Kill your mother. You were almost killed by Cheng Mengxiang and Chao Yuliang. If it weren't for your sudden increase in strength, you would have disappeared by now. However, when he saw that Xiao Chen was really going to leave, he panicked. He quickly grabbed Xiao Chen's arm and said with a fawning expression, "Hero Xiao Chen, please don't say that. Please be magnanimous and don't lower yourself to the same level as those servants. They were blind and didn't recognize you. I've already dealt with them." When he heard the news just now, Ma Wuxia was really quite frightened in his heart. He rushed over like a madman. If this group of little bastards really chased Xiao Chen away, he was afraid that his position as sect master would come to an end. I see. Xiao Chen looked a little hesitant, but he finally nodded and said calmly, "All right. Then I'll reluctantly forgive the Kuei Mountain sect for Grandpa Cheng's sake. I hope there won't be a next time." No, absolutely not. Seeing that Xiao Chen had finally agreed to stay, Ma Baizha heaved a sigh of relief and said gratefully, "Old Master Cheng has always been treated as a distinguished guest here. Since Hero Xiao Chen has said so, I must pay him a proper visit some other day." Although Ma Baizha didn't know why Xiao Chen wanted to give Cheng Tianqiu face, it didn't matter. Since Xiao Chen was willing to stay, of course, he had to go along with it. Xiao Chen hummed in acknowledgement and nodded without saying a word. Ma Baizha smiled politely and said, "Hero Xiao Chen, you came too suddenly. Our servants haven't had time to prepare a place for you to stay. Why don't we have lunch first? I've already asked people to prepare food and wine." "Oh, don't bother. Just bring me to Grandpa Cheng's place, and then we can prepare for the crusade." Xiao Chen waved his hand at Ma Baizha as if he was dismissing a servant, and said calmly, "I'll stay with Grandpa Cheng. You said that food and wine are ready, right? Then ask someone to bring them over. I also want to have a meal with Grandpa Cheng and Miss Cheng." Ma Baizha was so angry that his teeth were itching. When had he ever been given such a cold shoulder? No matter what, Xiao Chen was the organizer of the crusade, yet Xiao Chen did not give him any face at all. He was so arrogant. But he couldn't lose his temper, so he could only smile and give his orders. Then, he brought Xiao Chen to the Cheng family's side courtyard. Since Xiao Chen was willing to stay there, Ma Baizha was happy to be at ease. He had been quite busy recently anyway, and it was better to have less trouble. Xiao Chen could go wherever he wanted, as long as he stayed in the Kuei Mountain sect. Before Xiao Chen arrived at the Cheng family's side courtyard, the disciples had already served the food. Cheng Tianqiu stood there in a daze, not knowing what was going on. Could it be that the Kuei Mountain sect was being kind and wanted to improve their food? Chapter 855. Suddenly hearing voices outside the courtyard, Cheng Tianqiu raised his head and saw that it was actually Ma Wuxia walking in, and there was a familiar-looking young man beside him. Was it Xiao Chen? "Xiao Chen? Why are you here?" Cheng Tianqiu did not bother to greet Ma Wuxia and said with some surprise. When Xiao Chen saw Cheng Tianqiu walking over, he said with a smile, "Hello, Grandpa Cheng." Ma Wuxia also took a few steps forward, grabbed Cheng Tianqiu's arm, and said with a face full of enthusiasm, "Hello, Old Master Cheng. Thank you so much for your help today. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have been able to keep Hero Xiao Chen. I'll remember your kindness." Cheng Tianqiu was dumbfounded when he heard this. What was this all about? "I'm under house arrest here, and I've just met Xiao Chen. How did I help? How did I help?" Xiao Chen smiled faintly, took a step forward, and explained the whole matter in a soft voice. Only then did Cheng Tianqiu come to a sudden realization, and the way he looked at Xiaochen also changed. Xiaochen said this in front of Ma Wuxia. It was clear that he wanted to do him a favor. Recalling the things he did to Xiaochen in the past, not only did Xiaochen not bear a grudge, but he returned evil with kindness. Cheng Tianqiu suddenly felt a little ashamed. I've been very busy these days, and didn't have time to care about old Master Cheng's matters. If these servants didn't take good care of you before, I apologize on their behalf. Although Ma Wuxia was cursing in his heart, he still said sincerely on the surface. You flatter me. This old man wasn't able to help much. Cheng Tianqiu forcefully suppressed his excitement and replied with an indifferent expression. Previously, Cheng Tianqiu was suddenly reduced from the head of the first aristocratic family in Songning to a weak vassal of the Kuei mountain sect, and was even under house arrest in a small courtyard. This strong sense of difference made it difficult for Cheng Tianqiu to calm down. In the past, Ma Wuxia would not even look him in the eye. But today, after personally witnessing Ma Minqiu praising and apologizing to him, Cheng Tianqiu felt all the gloominess in his heart was swept away. He felt refreshed and delighted. This was all thanks to Xiaochen. Alright, I still have something to do, so I won't disturb your chat. The food is ready. If there's anything else you need, Hero Xiaochen, just ask your disciple to look for me. Ma Wuxia smiled embarrassedly and patted Xiaochen's shoulder in a seemingly happy manner. He really couldn't stay any longer. He couldn't stand either Xiaochen or Cheng Tianqiu, but they still had to smile and act like grandsons. Ma Wuxia didn't even want to eat and wanted to leave as soon as possible. Oh, then hurry up and leave. I'll call you if there's anything. Xiaochen waved his hand casually, and pulled Cheng Tianqiu into the courtyard, leaving only a handsome back view for Ma Wuxia. Ma Wuxia was so angry that he gnashed his teeth and stared at Xiaochen's back view. After a long time, he finally swallowed his anger and turned to leave. Xiaochen and Cheng Tianqiu walked into the courtyard, talking and laughing. He looked around, but he didn't find Cheng Menjiang, Cheng Xiaofan and Cheng Mengqiang. Grandpa Cheng, why didn't Uncle Cheng and Menjiang come to eat with us? Xiaochen was a little puzzled. He had been here for so long, but why was Cheng Tianqiu the only one in the courtyard? Where were the others? I've already asked someone to inform Zhongming, he should be here soon. Menjiang is practicing in the house. Cheng Tianqiu explained with a smile. Oh. What about Cheng Xiaofan and Cheng Mengqiang? Where did they go? Xiaochen nodded his head. Knitting his brows, Cheng Tianqiu sighed and said angrily, don't mention those two fellows. Ever since they fell out, they rarely appear here. Don't mind it too much. I think it's a good thing that they left. At least you can't see them. Out of sight, out of mind, right? Xiaochen shrugged his shoulders and chuckled. Speaking of which, he still had to thank Cheng Xiaofan and Cheng Mengqiang. If it wasn't for those two clowns who kept causing trouble for him, perhaps he wouldn't have what he has today. Sigh, Xiaochen, I've thought about it a lot. No matter what, it's our Cheng family that has let you down. In the past, I was also blinded by anger and instigated by that bastard, Cheng Xiaofan. That's why I did those things against you and the Xiao family. Cheng Tianqiu sighed with guilt in his heart. Grandpa Cheng, it's all in the past. You don't have to blame yourself too much. After all, the Quishan sect and Cheng Xiaofan are the main culprits. I'll settle this account with them sooner or later. But don't worry, I'll never implicate the other members of the Cheng family. Xiaochen said in a low voice. Looking at Cheng Tianqiu's aged cheeks, gray hair, and hunched body, Xiaochen was filled with emotions. He never imagined that the Cheng family's patriarch, Cheng Tianqiu, would fall to such a state. Fate really made fools of people. You don't have to comfort me. I've never expected you to forgive me. I only have one hope for you, and that is to ask you to take good care of Menjiang from now on. Ma Longting and Yao Baoang have always wanted her, but Menjiang is smart and never let them succeed. At this point, Cheng Tianqiu also revealed a gratified smile. No matter what, his granddaughter was finally born. Taking a deep breath, Cheng Tianqiu patted Xiao Chen's shoulder and said earnestly, "Xiao Chen, I have a request for you to come to the Quishan sect this time. If there's a chance, take Menjing away. Don't let her stay here and suffer." "Hee, Grandpa Cheng, don't worry. I'm here this time for her." Xiao Chen smiled faintly, but in his heart, he was cursing Yao Baoang and Ma Longting. "Good. I'm relieved to hear that. Anyway, my old bones don't matter. As long as Menjing can live happily in the future, that's my biggest wish." Cheng Tianqiu nodded and said contentedly. "Xiao Chen, you're here." At this time, Cheng Zhongming had already received the news and rushed over. He was very happy to see Xiao Chen and exchanged a few pleasantries. Realizing that Cheng Menjing had not come out yet, he quickly said, "You guys chat first, I'll go get Menjing. If she knows that you're here, she'll be very happy. Uncle Cheng, you sit here, I'll go find her." Xiao Chen stood up, pulled Cheng Zhongming, and walked to the backyard alone, intending to give the young mistress a surprise. "Okay, she lives in the room on the east side of the backyard." Cheng Zhongming understood and reminded him with a smile. "Okay, I got it." Xiao Chen replied. In fact, he had already locked Cheng Menjing's position with his divine sense. Even if Cheng Zhongming didn't say it, he would never go the wrong way. After a few steps through the backyard garden, Xiao Chen came to Cheng Menjing's room. He raised his hand and gently knocked on the door twice. "Please come in." "Ah. Wait. Don't come in first." Cheng Menjing first shouted casually, but suddenly her tone changed and she hurriedly stopped him, but it was too late. Xiao Chen had already opened the door at this time. Although it was locked, the lock was useless to Xiao Chen. I'm sorry, I didn't know you were changing clothes." Looking at the scene in front of him, Xiao Chen suddenly felt a little embarrassed. He blushed and explained with his eyes wide open. In the room, he saw that Cheng Menjing's upper body was in a state of no clothes, and her lower body was only wearing a pair of panties. Although her back was facing him, the smooth back and tight buttocks were clearly visible. Xiao Chen was stunned by this beautiful scene. He looked at it intently, and his lower abdomen couldn't help but raise a nefarious fire, but under his effort to circulate his primordial qi, he finally managed to suppress it. However, his heart was still beating rapidly. After all, this scene was too beautiful. Ah! Cheng Menjing felt a cold wind and knew that someone had opened the door. She first screamed, squatted down with her hands in front of her chest, and then turned her head and shouted, "Damn Xiao Chen! What are you still standing there for? Hurry up and close the door for me." But after shouting, Cheng Menjing suddenly froze. "The person in front of me is Xiao Chen. How could Xiao Chen appear in my room? Could it be that I'm too tired from cultivating recently, so I'm possessed by the devil and have an illusion? Oh, okay." Xiao Chen came back to his senses and was also shocked. He quickly turned around and quickly closed the door. Then he couldn't help but take a deep breath to calm down the excitement in his heart. Did you do it on purpose? I asked you to go out and then close the door. If you stay here, how can I change clothes? You're really stupid." Cheng Menjing suddenly became anxious. She couldn't wait to poke Xiao Chen's head. Although she was a little surprised by the arrival of Xiao Chen and a little happy, it didn't mean that she could accept seeing him openly. Sorry. I'll go out now." Xiao Chen smiled awkwardly. He wanted to open the door again, but just as his hand held the door handle, Cheng Menjing hurriedly stopped him. You're crazy. Don't open the door again. Do you want me to be seen by others again? Hurry up and pull up the curtain behind you. I want to change clothes." "Alright, I got it." Xiao Chen's forehead was covered in sweat. He was really confused. He didn't dare to turn around and walked backward. Relying on his divine sense, he accurately pulled up the curtain between the two with one hand behind his back. Phew, Cheng Menjing was slightly relieved. She turned her head and quickly picked up the clothes on the bed. While putting on the clothes, she stared at the curtain with vigilance and warned, "You better behave. Don't think about taking the opportunity to open the curtain. Otherwise, I won't be polite." Humph. I'm also a martial arts master now. Ahem, you think too much. There are plenty of opportunities at home. I didn't peep. Xiao Chen spread out his hands and turned around with an innocent face. Although there was a curtain between the two, the light behind the curtain perfectly projected Cheng Menjing's shadow. Her exquisite figure was curvy and beautiful like a silhouette. Even the process of her putting on the clothes was incomparably elegant. There was a different kind of hazy beauty. With such a beautiful scene in front of him, Xiao Chen certainly wouldn't destroy it. Instead, he looked at it intently and subconsciously swallowed his saliva. Chapter 856. Very soon, Cheng Menjing put on her clothes and came out from the other side of the curtain. When she saw Xiao Chen's perverted appearance, she could not help but frown and ask, "What did you see just now? Don't lie and tell me the truth." Xiao Chen scratched his head and said honestly, "Actually, it's nothing much. I just think that your back view is pretty good, but your taste in tight-fitting underwear is a little weird." He really didn't expect Miss Cheng's underwear to have a Doraemon pattern. "You? Humph. What do you know? I like Doraemon." Cheng Menjing was about to lose her temper, but she still pouted and muttered. Hearing Xiao Chen complimenting her back, she was actually a little happy. Cheng Menjing suddenly remembered something important and quickly asked, "By the way, why did you come to the Qishan sect?" She was busy with cultivation all day and didn't want to see those annoying guys, so she wasn't well informed. She was also confused about Xiao Chen's recent situation. I thought you already knew." "I'm here for." Xiao Chen told her about the crusade. However, in order to explain the origin of the crusade, Xiao Chen simply told her about his recent experience. Only then did Cheng Menjing understand the cause and effect. "What? You're already a cultivator at the peak of the second level of the Devil King?" Cheng Menjing was a little shocked after listening. She didn't expect the useless Xiao Chen who couldn't cultivate to be so powerful now. Hee, how is it? Are you envious of me? Do you regret breaking off the engagement?" Xiao Chen looked at Cheng Menjing's shocked expression and said proudly. Cheng Menjing looked at Xiao Chen's smug expression and snorted angrily. She pouted and said, "What's so great about it? I've also cultivated the Weaver's Heart Sutra and now have the strength of the first level of the Devil Master. It won't be long before I surpass you." Ni's Heart Sutra? The name of this mental cultivation method is quite unique. Could it be that her uncle invented it? Xiao Chen held his chin and said thoughtfully. "It's the Weaver's Heart Sutra. What are you thinking about? How uncultured, country bumpkin." Cheng Menjing cast a sidelong glance at Xiao Chen in annoyance. Just as she was about to mock him again, the door was heavily kicked open with a bang. The two of them turned their heads and found that it was Yao Baoang who had rushed in angrily. As soon as he came in, he pointed at Cheng Menjing and scolded, "Cheng Menjing, you be *tch, as my wife, you're too shameless. He actually dared to be alone with Xiao Chen behind my back. I already knew that there was something wrong with you too, and now I've caught you red-handed. What else do you have to say?" When Xiao Chen was stopped at the door, he did not go out, so he did not know what happened. Later, he found out that Xiao Chen came to the Qishan sect and went directly to the Cheng family's side courtyard. Yao Baoang immediately felt that something was wrong and immediately rushed over. He rushed into the Cheng family's side courtyard and found that there were only Cheng Tianqiu and Cheng Zhongming in the dining room, so he went straight to Cheng Menjing's room. Cheng Zhongming originally wanted to stop him, but he was held back by Cheng Tianqiu. In Cheng Tianqiu's view, with Xiao Chen's strength, the current Yao Baoang was nothing at all. Yao Baoang had just approached when he heard Xiao Chen and Cheng Menjing's laughter coming from inside, and they even said something about tight panties. He was instantly enraged, and there seemed to be a hint of green on top of his head. He could not help but break the door and enter. Yao Baoang, what's wrong with you? When did I become your wife? Did you take the wrong medicine? Seeing Yao Baoang's fierce look, Cheng Menjing was also angry and gritted her teeth. Yao Baoang came to her every 2 or 3 days, and he always said something irrelevant, which annoyed Cheng Menjing to death. Usually it was fine, but now Xiao Chen was here. What if he misunderstood? Wow! You still don't admit it? You green TB asterisk TCH, scheming B asterisk TCH. Ouch! Yao Baoang's nose was crooked, and he was about to scold her again. Suddenly, he was grabbed by the neck, and then he was thrown out of the room with a strong force. I didn't kill you directly because I didn't want to dirty the room. Don't be so shameless. Get out of here. Xiao Chen patted his hand and threatened Yao Baoang, who fell on the ground. Your name is really funny. Why don't you call yourself Duck Neck King? When Xiao Chen saw Yao Baoang's indignant expression, he could not be bothered to waste his breath on him. He directly revealed his strength. Huh? You are at the peak of the 2nd level of the Demon King. Yao Baoang climbed up. He originally wanted to scold again, but he suddenly withered when he saw this. He braced himself and said, Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you are strong. If you dare to touch me, sect leader Ma and my master, elderly, will definitely not let you go. Pa! As soon as Yao Baoang finished speaking, Xiao Chen strode forward, waved his hand, and slapped Yao Baoang's left cheek. Yao Baoang's left cheek suddenly swelled up. I don't agree with your point of view, but I swear to defend my right to punish you. Xiao Chen crossed his arms in front of his chest and shook his legs like a playboy. He squinted at Yao Baoang, don't mention beating you. Even if I kill you, Ma Minxiao won't say anything. If you don't believe me, why don't you try? You. Very good. Remember this isn't over. Yao Baoang covered his swollen face and said, you, for a long time. Finally, he left a harsh sentence and ran away. He had to leave. With Xiao Chen's current strength, he might really kill him if he was unhappy. Xiao Chen, you are now a guest invited by Ma Minxiao. Isn't it inappropriate to offend a disciple of the Quishan sect? Cheng Menjing was a little worried. Although Xiao Chen's current strength was indeed very high, he couldn't go against the entire sect. It's nothing. Don't worry. Ma Minxiao doesn't care about such a small matter. Besides, he wouldn't dare to do anything to me. Xiao Chen shrugged and said nonchalantly, all right, Missy, let's go eat. Grandpa Cheng and Uncle Cheng are still waiting. Cheng Menjing hesitated for a moment, but she still nodded. Since Xiao Chen was so sure, she didn't say anything else. She had an inexplicable sense of trust in Xiao Chen. Cheng Menjing and Xiao Chen walked toward the dining hall. When they saw Cheng Tianqiu and Cheng Zhongming, they didn't say much. The family sat down to eat happily. Yao Baoang returned to his room dejectedly, feeling very gloomy. He had gone to look for his master, elderly, and told him about how Xiao Chen had beaten him up with an aggrieved expression. He had hoped that elderly would stand up for him, but to his surprise, not only did elderly have no intention of helping him, but he even reprimanded him. He even said that Xiao Chen was an honored guest of the Kuei Mountain sect and that he was not allowed to disturb him, or else he would have to bear the consequences. Yao Baoang recalled how his master didn't stand up for him after he was slapped by Xiao Chen. Instead, he scolded him harshly. Yao Baoang had nowhere to vent his anger. After thinking about it, he simply pulled a servant girl from the sect, closed the door, and forced himself on her. He only let it go after ravaging her mercilessly. Anyway, even if he touched such a servant, he could just give her some benefits afterward. It wasn't a big deal in the sect. Previously, he was afraid that Cheng Menjing would use this reason to break up with him, so he didn't dare to mess around. But now that they had fallen out, there was nothing to be afraid of. That night, Xiaochen stayed in the Cheng family. Of course, he stayed in the guest room. It was not appropriate for him to harass Miss Cheng. The next morning, Xiaochen was woken up by the noise. He found a disciple of the Quishan sect and asked about it. It turned out that Yao Baoang was found dead on the bed in the room early in the morning. After the diagnosis of the sect's doctor, it was found that he died of an inexplicable stroke on horseback. Xiaochen was stunned when he heard the news. Then he remembered that before Yao Baoang left Songning a while ago, he did tamper with his Shinshui acupoint. As long as he dared to fool around, he would die of kidney deficiency. But his father, Xiao Yao, was dead, and Yao Baoang didn't move. Xiaochen thought that he had failed to do it in a hurry. Now it seemed that Yao Baoang died because he was scolded by him yesterday, and then he couldn't help but find a woman to vent his desire. So, since Yao Baoang was dead, did it mean that the engagement between him and Cheng Menjing was invalid? The Quishan sect couldn't let Cheng Menjing go to Minghan, could it? Wasn't the reason why the Cheng family was put under house arrest in the Quishan sect because they couldn't reach an agreement on this engagement? Since the engagement was invalid, did it mean that they could leave? Thinking of this, Xiaochen put away his thoughts and immediately ordered the disciples of the Quishan sect to find their sect master, Ma Peja. "Hero Xiaochen, do you have any instructions for me since you called me here in such a hurry?" After receiving the news, Ma Peja hurried over, followed by Ma Lianting. Both of them wanted to know what tricks Xiaochen was up to. After all, Xiaochen was their distinguished guest. If they were to neglect him, they would definitely suffer. "Oh, it's nothing serious. I heard that Yao Baoang kicked the bucket, so I specifically called you here to discuss the engagement between him and Cheng Menjing." When Xiaochen saw Ma Peja coming over, he didn't get up to greet him. Instead, he sat down casually and spoke unhurriedly. Cheng Tianqiu and Cheng Zhongming also sat quietly at the side. Both of them knew very well what Xiaochen's purpose was. They knew that he was helping the Cheng family, so they didn't interrupt and let Xiaochen express himself in silence. On the other side, Cheng Menjing was confused. She didn't know what Xiaochen was up to. Why did he suddenly bring up the engagement? However, since he had called her here, she would listen to him first. Since Yao Baoang is dead, then the engagement between Miss Cheng and Yao Baoang is naturally invalid. Ma Peja said with a smile. He was not stupid and quickly guessed Xiaochen's intention. Wasn't it to cancel the engagement? This was not a problem at all. As long as Xiaochen stayed here, nothing else mattered. Chapter 857. Master Ma is indeed a wise man. Xiaochen nodded with satisfaction, then asked, "In that case, the Cheng family shouldn't have to stay in the Quishan sect anymore, right? Anyway, the engagement has been cancelled, so there's no point for them to stay here, right?" The main purpose of Xiaochen's trip was to take the Cheng family away. He didn't care about the crusade at all. Yao Baoang's accidental death could be said to have indirectly helped him a lot. Otherwise, he really didn't know where to start. Of course. Master Xiaochen, you're right. I'll send someone to send them back to Songning City. I guarantee their safety. Ma Dehizi quickly agreed. In his opinion, as long as Xiaochen was willing to stay, it didn't matter whether the Cheng family was there or not. He also had no reason to offend Xiaochen because of such a small matter. It was better to do him a favor, and maybe he could even get a reward in front of the higher-ups. Wait. Xiaochen was about to speak, but Ma Qingting suddenly jumped out and said with his nose in the air, "It's okay for the others to leave, but Cheng Menjing can't go. She must stay in the Qian sect." What the f***ck, are you stupid? Since when did you have the right to interrupt when the adults are talking? Xiaochen was a little displeased. He rushed over and slapped Ma Qingting, scolding, "Your father has agreed to let the Cheng family go back. Why are you jumping out and sticking your neck out? You." Ma Qingting felt a burning pain on his face. He covered his face and stared at Xiaochen, speechless for a moment. Ma Dehezi's expression also changed. Anger flashed across his face. He raised his body slightly, and the strength of a half-step demon king disappeared for a moment. Then, he sat down again. He wanted to mediate, but he didn't know why his son suddenly flared up, so he could only sit there silently. Xiaochen glanced at Ma Wuxia, then turned to Ma Lianting and said angrily, "Tell me clearly, why can't Miss Cheng leave? If you can't explain yourself, I'll slap you to death. Do you believe me?" Ma Qingting opened her mouth but actually could not find a reason to refute for a moment. Rolling her eyes, she blurted out, "That Cheng Menjing has already cultivated our Kuei Mountain sect's mental cultivation method. Then she's considered an official disciple of the sect. Moreover, she had already consumed many treasures from the Kuei Mountain sect, so she had to stay and continue cultivating. This is the rule of the outer martial world." Hearing this, Ma Wuxiao was stunned. Since when did the outer martial arts world have such a rule? However, since his son had spoken, he must have his own reasons. Ma Minju couldn't say anything more, so he could only pretend that he didn't hear it. In fact, Ma Qingting's purpose was very simple. He had thoughts about Cheng Menjing before. Since the last time he saw Cheng Menjing, he had been infatuated with her and thought about her day and night. He had even been thinking about how to force himself on her. However, Cheng Menjing was Yao Boang's fiancée. Due to this relationship, he couldn't blatantly force himself on her, so he could only endure it for now. But now that Yao Baoang was dead, Ma Qingting was determined to make Cheng Menjing stay no matter what. He had waited for so long. Now that he finally had the chance to kiss her, how could he let her go? Therefore, when Xiaochen mentioned this matter, he stood up to oppose it and even made up a reason at the last minute. "Are you serious? As the top student of Songning Second Senior High School and the head of the outer martial arts world's demonic sect, how come I've never heard of this rule? You didn't make it up, did you?" Xiaochen frowned and stared at Ma Qingting suspiciously. Hero Xiaochen, you've actually just become the head of the demonic sect, so you might not know much about the rules of the outer martial arts world. I'll explain it to you when I have the chance." Although Ma Wuxiao didn't know what his son wanted to do, he had to stand up and help him. "Oh, all right then. In that case, I'll make the decision for Miss Cheng. As long as you send Grandpa Cheng and Uncle Cheng back safely, she can stay in the Qian sect for the time being." Xiaochen pointed at Cheng Tianxiu and Cheng Zhongming and said lightly. As for Cheng Zhongfan and Cheng Mengqiang, since they wanted to stay and be dogs, Xiaochen couldn't be bothered with them. Everyone had their own ambitions anyway. As for the messy rules, Xiaochen didn't want to argue with them. Ma Qingting was obviously talking nonsense anyway. This kid insisted on keeping Cheng Menjing here, so he must have some ulterior motives. Xiaochen thought to himself, "I'd like to see what tricks this kid is playing. No problem, I'll arrange for people to send both of you back to Songning City as soon as possible." Seeing that Xiaochen had agreed, Ma Wuxiao quickly nodded and gave the order. After the matter was settled, Ma Wuxiao was afraid that Xiaochen would cause more trouble, so he hurriedly said goodbye and left with Ma Qingting. Until the two of them were far away, Cheng Menjing frowned and said, "Xiaochen, who asked you to make the decision for me? I don't want to stay here. That Ma Qingting doesn't look like a good person. He definitely doesn't have any good intentions." Actually, I don't have any good intentions either. Xiao Chen scratched his head and said with a smile. What do you mean? Are you going to do something to me too? The Missy took 2 steps back subconsciously. She covered her chest with both hands and looked at Xiao Chen with a vigilant face. No wonder Xiao Chen agreed so readily just now. Could it be that he also wanted to take the opportunity to do something to me? Cough, cough, what are you thinking? I mean, I'm going to let this Machingting fly for another 2 days. After a few days, I'll smack him to death. Xiao Chen shook his head helplessly. The Missy saw that Xiao Chen wasn't interested in her. She didn't know why, but she felt a little disappointed. However, when she heard the latter part of Xiao Chen's words, she began to worry again. You don't always kill people. These people from the Qishan sect are very powerful. Even if you're a powerhouse at the peak of the 2nd level of the Demon King, you're alone. How can you compete with them? Before Xiao Chen could say anything, the first young mistress recalled something and quickly asked, by the way, did you do something to Yao Baoang as well? Sort of. When Yao Baoang went to the Qing family to trouble you guys, I wanted to kill him, but I couldn't find a chance to do it, so I did something to him. If he was a little more obedient, maybe he could live a little longer. Who knew he was so impatient? Xiao Chen shrugged with an indifferent expression. AI. The Missy sighed. She wanted to persuade Xiao Chen not to be too impulsive, but she opened her mouth and didn't say anything. After all, Xiao Chen did these things for her. What else could she say? Menjing, Xiao Chen must have his reasons for doing this. Don't blame him. After your grandfather and I leave, he'll stay by your side to protect you. We'll be relieved. Cheng Zhongming also came over to comfort her. He didn't want to leave his daughter alone, but this was the only way. Yeah. Xiao Chen, please take care of Menjing. I don't ask for anything else. I just hope you can find another opportunity to take her away from the Qishan sect. Then I'll be relieved. This is really not a place for people to stay. Cheng Tianqiu patted Xiao Chen's shoulder heavily and sighed. I will. Grandpa Cheng, don't worry too much. Xiao Chen smiled and nodded. Now that the Qishan sect needs my help, I'll definitely send you back to Songning safely. If you need any help after you go back, don't hesitate to tell me. I still have some money here. It should be enough to help you revive the Cheng family's business. Xiao Chen remembered that when he was in dire straits, Cheng Menjing also gave him 20,000 yuan in private. Now that the Cheng family was in trouble, he certainly wouldn't stand by and watch them die. No. How can I take your money? Cheng Tianqiu quickly waved his hand and said shamefully, I was muddle-headed in the past, so I did so many things that let the Xiao family down. When I go back, I'll go to the Xiao family and personally apologize to your grandfather. I hope he can let go of the past and give the Cheng family a way out. Recalling all the despicable means he used on the Xiao family, Cheng Tianqiu also regretted it. Now, even if he was asked to become a vassal of the Xiao family, he wouldn't hesitate to do it, let alone apologize. You're too serious. My grandfather will definitely prepare a banquet and have a good drink with you. Xiao Chen smiled. At this time, there was a knock on the door. It turned out that the disciples of the Qishan sect had received the order and came to pick them up. Cheng Tianqiu and Cheng Zhongming simply packed their luggage and gave some instructions to Cheng Menjing before leaving the Qishan sect. After sending her father and grandfather off, Cheng Menjing looked at Xiao Chen with a faint smile and said, You're really shameless. You can't even protect yourself, but you still vow to protect me. If anything happens to me, let's see how you explain it to my grandfather. Although she said that, Cheng Menjing was very satisfied because she knew that Xiao Chen wasn't someone who would brag. He must have a card up his sleeve. Don't worry, Missy. I won't let anything happen to you. Xiaochen didn't explain further and only said solemnly. The reason why Xiaochen agreed to let Qing Menjing stay was mainly because he didn't plan to leave immediately. He wanted to see what the Quishan sect was up to by holding this crusade. Since that was the case, it was safer for Qing Menjing to stay by his side. Moreover, he just noticed that Ma Tianxiu was in the half-step Demon King realm. He was probably the most powerful person in the Quishan sect. Killing this guy should be a piece of cake. Moreover, even if other patriarchs or old monsters of the Quishan sect jumped out, Xiaochen could use the flying sword to escape with Qing Menjing immediately, so he wasn't worried at all. Moreover, Xiaochen really hoped that some mastermind would appear. In his opinion, the Quishan sect was just a small fry. Chapter 858. The two chatted for a while and talked about what happened recently. When they mentioned Jin Beibei and Shen Jingxian, they sighed. They wondered where they were now and how they were doing. They were so close to each other at that time, but now they were far apart and had lost contact. They didn't know when they could reunite again. After Ma Qingting went back, she stayed in her room and felt very depressed. She was slapped by Xiaochen for no reason, and she couldn't fight back. Even if she wanted to fight back, she wasn't strong enough. Moreover, she heard that Qing Menjing had become Xiaochen's fiancé again, so she felt even more depressed. "Young master, what's wrong with you? Why do you look so depressed? Which blind person has offended you?" Cheng Xiaofan knocked on the door and walked in, asking with a fawning expression. "It's Xiaochen, that brat. Today, he humiliated me in front of so many people and my father. He even flirted with Qing Menjing, that *tch. I really can't take this lying down." Ma Qingting slammed the table and said while gritting his teeth. "This. Does Master Ma turn a blind eye to it? This doesn't seem to be his style." Cheng Xiaofan was a little surprised. He didn't expect Xiaochen to be so arrogant and dare to humiliate his son in front of Ma Qingting. Sigh. "My father only has the strength of a half-step Demon King. That Xiaochen is already at the peak of Demon King level, too. How can he be Xiaochen's opponent?" Originally, he wanted to cultivate behind closed doors and break through to Demon King level 1 as soon as possible. Who would have thought that the higher-ups would suddenly organize such a crusade, which forcefully delayed his cultivation plan? Ma Qingting sighed and said helplessly. Cheng Xiaofan was stunned. He didn't expect Xiaochen's strength to be so high that even Ma Qingting couldn't do anything to him. This guy is a freak, right? Ma Qingting suddenly stood up and paced around the room. She couldn't get rid of her resentment. After walking around for a while, he suddenly stopped and fiercely asked, "Cheng Xiaofan, tell me, is there a way to make Xiaochen be beaten up by me and unable to resist after that?" "Well." Cheng Xiaofan pondered for a while, his eyes rolling, and suddenly thought of an idea. "Sect master, I heard that our sect has a kind of medicinal pill that can easily destroy other people's cultivation. If you can get this pill and trick Xiaochen into eating it, then wouldn't he be at your mercy?" "Yeah. Why didn't I think of that? You're more cunning than me." Ma Qingting slapped her thigh and was overjoyed. She immediately sat down, picked up a brush, and quickly wrote a note, handing it to Cheng Xiaofan. "Take this note and go to the sect's pharmacy immediately and bring me the medicinal pills. After this matter is done, this young master will definitely reward you handsomely." "No problem, it's my honor to be able to run errands for young sect master." Cheng Xiaofan didn't feel that there was anything wrong with Ma Qingting calling him cunning. He happily took the note and ran towards the pharmacy. Thinking that he could serve young sect master and torture that damn Xiaochen, he was indescribably happy in his heart. Ma Qingting sat on the chair and shook his head leisurely. In his heart, he was thinking about how to trick Xiaochen into taking the pill. But as he thought about it, his mind suddenly lit up. "That's right. Why am I so stubborn? Why must I make Xiao Chen eat the pill? As long as I let Qing Menjing eat the pill, then wouldn't I be able to push her down? Ma Qingting remembered that Yao Baoang once told him that the Weaver Heart Sutra that Qing Menjing cultivated had a unique mental cultivation method that required a virgin's body to cultivate. Also, if she had intercourse with someone during the cultivation period, the demonic energy would flow backward and flow into the other party's body, causing the other party's body to explode. Therefore, although Yao Baoang didn't give up his evil intentions, he had no way to forcefully possess her. But now, as long as he abolished Qing Menjing's cultivation, then wouldn't she become a lamb waiting to be slaughtered? He could easily push her down. Ha ha ha. I can even think of such a wonderful method. Looks like I'm really a genius. Ma Qingting seemed to have already seen the scene of him hugging Qing Menjing and stepping on Xiao Chen. He couldn't help but be complacent and laugh out loud. Xiao Chen and Qing Menjing chatted for a while, and in the blink of an eye, it was dinner time. Xiao Chen wanted to cook something delicious for Missy, but before he could start, a Kuei mountain sect disciple came and told them that Ma Qingting had already prepared a banquet and invited them to the banquet. Qing Menjing didn't have a good impression of Ma Qingting and wanted to reject him directly, but Xiao Chen agreed without hesitation. Since this idiot was treating, it would be a waste not to eat. Moreover, he also wanted to ask him something, so after convincing Qing Menjing, the two followed the disciple to the dining hall. Swordsman Xiao Chen, I'm so sorry. I've been busy preparing for the subjugation assembly for the past 2 days, so I haven't been able to properly entertain you. Today, I finally managed to find some time, so I've specially prepared a banquet for you. Just treat it as a welcoming dinner for you. It's just a simple meal, I hope you don't mind. Seeing that the two of them had arrived, Ma Wuxia very enthusiastically extended his hand, wanting to shake Xiao Chen's hand. Oh, it's okay, I forgive you. Xiao Chen ignored Ma Qingting's hand and casually sat down on the main guest seat. Ma Qingting's mouth twitched, and he retracted his hand. He pretended to brush off the non-existent dust on his sleeves, and put on a smile as if he didn't mind at all. Xiao Chen glanced at the dishes on the table and said with dissatisfaction, I say, sect leader Ma, even if it's just a simple meal, there's no need to be so crude, right? What the hell is this table full of? Why isn't there even a lobster or abalone, and the meat is pitifully little? How is this the way a big sect treats people? Or do you think I'm easy to bully, so you just casually use the cafeteria's big pot of dishes to entertain me? Swordsman Xiao Chen, please don't say that. These dishes were specially prepared by our chefs. Although there are no expensive dishes, the taste is very delicious. Please have a good taste. Ma Baiju's face stiffened, but he forced a smile and said. As he explained, Ma Qingting cursed in his heart, damn Xiao Chen, it's fine that you don't respect me, but you actually dare to criticize the dishes that I specially prepared. Do you think the Quishan sect is stationed in the city? I rarely eat seafood, so where am I going to get you lobster and abalone in such a short time? As the Quishan sect was located in a remote mountainous area, transportation was extremely inconvenient, so there was no way to buy seafood. Moreover, because the sect's disciples cultivated for a long time, they rarely ate big fish and meat. Basically, they mainly ate light vegetarian food, and occasionally had some meat. Otherwise, when Yao Baoang and the others went to Songning City previously, they wouldn't be like country bumpkins, and find everything strange. Hee, Hero Xiao Chen, since the dishes aren't to your taste, then you should drink a few more cups. This wine is a good wine brewed by our Quishan sect, and you can't drink it anywhere else. Ma Qingting chimed in from the side, looking very friendly, as if he and Xiao Chen were good brothers who hadn't seen each other for many years. When she heard that her father wanted to invite Xiao Chen to a banquet, Ma Qingting had an idea in her heart, so she pestered him and followed him. Xiao Chen sat lazily in his seat, glanced at the empty cup in front of him, and didn't say a word. Seeing this, Ma Qingting specially stepped forward to fill Xiao Chen's cup with wine, then raised her own cup and said, Come, Hero Xiao Chen, I've offended you before, and I've done something inappropriate. This cup of wine is my apology. I'll drink first as a sign of respect." After saying that, he drank the wine in the cup in one gulp, revealing the bottom of the cup. "Forget it, since you're apologizing so sincerely, then as a hero, I'm too lazy to bother with a little brat like you." Xiaofan waved his hand casually, picked up the cup, and drank it in one gulp. However, as soon as the wine entered his stomach, Xiaofan felt a burning sensation from his stomach to his brain. It seemed that the alcohol content of this wine wasn't low at all. Hero Xiaofan is really forthright. Qingting admires you. Ma Qingting gave a thumbs up to Xiaofan, then poured him another cup of wine, and said with a smile, "The cup just now was to express my apology. And this cup of wine is to welcome Hero Xiaofan, so I'll drink first as a sign of respect." After saying that, he drank the wine with a slurp. Although the wine brewed by the Kuei Mountain sect was very smooth in the mouth, the after-effect was very strong. Ma Qingting had been drinking since he was a child and was already used to it, so there was nothing wrong with it. Moreover, it was normal for martial artists to drink together, so no one thought that Ma Qingting's action was strange. However, Xiaofan saw that something was wrong. This Ma Qingting usually looked like a black-eyed chicken when he saw him, and now he kept urging him to drink. It was clear that he had bad intentions and wanted to get him drunk. But even so, Xiaofan didn't expose him, nor did he stop drinking. Instead, he followed Ma Qingting's intention and poured cup after cup of wine into his mouth. On one hand, Xiaofan wanted to see what tricks Ma Qingting was playing, so he let him serve him wine. On the other hand, Xiaofan really wanted to ask something. If he didn't use the excuse of being drunk, it would be difficult to ask. He was just worried that he didn't have a reason to pretend to be drunk, and Ma Qingting delivered himself to his door. Of course, Xiaofan wouldn't refuse such a good thing. The two toasted a few times, and before they knew it, they had already drunk more than a caddy of white wine. Xiaofan's face was glowing red, and he and Ma Qingting began to put their arms around each other's shoulders, calling each other brother. The words that came out of their mouths were also running wild. Ma Qingting looked at Ma Qingting and Xiaofan playing together and was a little puzzled. Did her son take the wrong medicine? Why did he keep forcing Xiaofan to drink? She didn't even dare to urge Xiaofan to drink, so what was wrong with this kid? "Xiaofan, drink less." Cheng Menjing frowned and said with a displeased face, "Look at you, you don't look like a human after drinking. If you fall on the ground drunk later, I won't have the strength to carry you back to your room." Chapter 859. Missy was also quite puzzled. She remembered that Xiaofan didn't usually drink. Why was he downing one cup after another today without end? That Ma Dragonfly was obviously up to no good. Could he not see it? It's fine, it's fine. If Hero Xiaofan is drunk, I'll just get the servants to help him back later. How can I trouble you to do it? This isn't how we treat our guests. Ma Dragonfly said with a smile, but in his heart, he was thinking, when Xiaofan drinks until he faints, I'll directly take care of you, you little hussy. At that time, let's see who can save you. So this was Ma Dragonfly's intention in making Xiaofan drink. After getting Xiaofan drunk, Cheng Menjing would be at his mercy. Burp. Xiaofan heavily patted Ma Dragonfly's shoulder a few times and sprayed a breath of alcohol on his face. He said with a slurred tongue, Little Dragonfly. You're really considerate. Not only did you take good care of my fiancée, you even provided her with heavenly materials and earthly treasures, allowing her to cultivate Niece's Heart Sutra. I don't even know how to thank you. Hiss, Ma Dragonfly almost suffered an internal injury from the pat and grimaced in pain. At first, he was still wondering who Xiaofan's fiancée was. Later, he realized that he was referring to Cheng Menjing. He could only smile and say, of course. Hero Xiaochen's fiancée, that's my sister-in-law. How can I not take good care of her? Sigh. Xiaochen suddenly sighed, his expression a little heavy. He put down the wine cup as if he didn't intend to drink any more, but he was cursing in his heart, "You brat, take good care of my ass. I think you want to take care of her to bed, right?" Seeing this, Ma Dragonfly was very nervous. He couldn't give up halfway. He hurriedly asked, "What's wrong, Hero Xiaochen? Is there something bothering you? Come, don't worry, let's get drunk and forget all our worries." Xiaochen shook his head and said sadly, "Back then, my father disappeared with the trial team and even implicated the Cheng family. Grandpa Cheng flew into a rage and went to the Xiao family to punish me. That's why I was chased out of the family. If it wasn't for eldest miss taking me in at that time, I would have been tricked to death." Ma Baozha and Ma Qingting looked at each other in surprise. They were a little puzzled. Didn't they have a good chat before? Why did Xiaochen suddenly bring this up? Cheng Menjing was also a little puzzled, but when she thought of the happy days when they lived in the villa, she was a little touched. She looked at Xiaochen with a much gentler gaze. Before the three of them could react, Xiaochen immediately changed the topic and asked, "Oh right, I say, little dragonfly. Your Kuei Mountain sect is the #1 demonic sect in the martial arts world outside of the system. I'm sure you're awesome in all aspects, right? You must have a well-informed channel, right? Have you heard of the whereabouts of my father, Xiaofan?" This. Ma Qingting was stunned. She didn't expect Xiaochen to ask such a question. She was speechless and didn't know how to answer for a moment. Ma Wuzhu was taken aback as well. He gave Ma Dragonfly a look, signaling him not to speak nonsense. Then, with a pained expression, he continued, "Hero Xiaochen, you've overpraised us. Don't be fooled by the fact that our Kuei Mountain sect is big and powerful, but we only have a little influence in the outer martial world. As for the matters of the mortal world, we don't know much." "No way. It's understandable if little Dragonfly doesn't know the inside story, but it doesn't make sense that you don't even know about Sect Master Ma." Xiaochen slammed the table so hard that he almost knocked over the dishes on the table. He looked very displeased. Ma Baozha was shocked and said with a bitter face, "Hero Xiaochen, we really don't know, Your Excellency." Xiaochen glared at him. Seeing Ma Baozha nodding, he roared fiercely, "Stop pretending. I heard that it was your Kuei Mountain sect who did it." That's impossible." Ma Baozha was really shocked this time. He denied flatly, "It's definitely not our Kuei Mountain sect." Xiaochen sneered a few times and turned his head drunkenly towards Cheng Menjing and said, "Miss, let's go back. The people of the Kuei Mountain sect are not honest. I guess they're holding that damned crusade just to trick me. Let's not stay here anymore." Cheng Menjing was already a little impatient. She agreed immediately, "Yes. I don't think there's anything good in this place. Let's go. Let's go back to Songning. It'll be more relaxing." She got up to help Xiaochen. "Hero Xiaochen, please wait." Ma Baozha was shocked. If he let Xiaochen go, how could he have fun? He quickly stopped Cheng Menjing and came to Xiaochen's side, wanting to propose a toast to make amends. Xiaochen glanced at him from the corner of his drunken eyes and said discontentedly, "I haven't even stood up, and you're already sending me off. This wine is boring. My heart feels cold when I think about my father's whereabouts and whether he's dead or alive. This is really not something the Kuei Mountain sect would do. Hero Xiaochen, we can't force a confession out of him, can we?" Ma Baozha was on the verge of tears as he tried to explain. "Don't talk nonsense. I have a strong witness. I'll never wrong you." Xiaochen stood up shakily and said with a face full of dissatisfaction, forget it. Since you guys are so insincere, there's no need for me to play with you guys anymore. Let's go, eldest miss, let's go back. Ma Baozhi was so anxious that he was almost sweating. He pulled Xiaochen and said solemnly, Hero Xiaochen, I swear, this is definitely not the Kuei mountain sect's doing. Who's your strong witness? Ask him to come out, and we can confront each other. What are you talking about? Isn't Xiaofan one of your people? Could it be that he's lying? Xiaochen waved his hand and retorted subconsciously. Xiaofan? Damn it, he doesn't even know the situation. What nonsense is he spouting? Ma Baozhi's vision darkened. He was so angry that he glared at Ma Lianting. Look at that damn thing you've brought. Don't fool me. Don't tell me, he tricked his own sect. Xiaochen shouted drunkenly. He waved his hand around and almost hit Ma Baozhi. Ma Baozhi really had no choice but to say, Hero Xiaochen, I swear with my life that it's definitely not the Kuei mountain sect's doing. As for where your father went, actually, I've only heard some rumors. I haven't confirmed it. I heard that the disciples of Awakening sect seem to have met your father before. As for where he went, I really don't know. Oh? That Awakening sect of the inner martial arts world? Xiaochen still looked drunk on the surface, but in his heart, he was full of regret. Damn it! What a blunder! Isn't that Xing Chick a disciple of Awakening sect? If I knew earlier that her sect was behind this, I should have found a way to find out about my father's whereabouts when she was injured. If she dared not say it, I'll just rip off her clothes. Let's see if she still won't admit it. In fact, Xiaochen had already refined all the white wine in his stomach with his vital qi. However, he pretended to talk nonsense so that he could find out about his father's whereabouts. He had already thought about it. He would first talk nonsense for a while to pave the way. Later, even if they had a falling out, he could say that he was drunk and push all the blame away. Now that he had tested him, Xiaochen could see that Ma Baozhi wasn't lying. What he knew was limited. Otherwise, if he really turned around and left, he would obviously lose more than he gained. Hero Xiaochen, are you alright? Did you drink too much and feel unwell? Why don't I ask the servants to help you back to your room to rest? Ma Baozhi saw that Xiaochen sat back down and seemed to have calmed down a little, so he asked carefully. He hated his son to death. Why did he have to drink Xiaochen's wine for no reason? Now that he was drunk and acting crazy, not only could he not say anything, but he also had to put on a smiling face and accompany him. It was so King frustrating. I'm not drunk. Xiaochen waved his hand in a drunken manner. Since he couldn't get the information he wanted, he felt that there was no need to stay any longer. However, if he left just like that, the purpose of pretending to be drunk would be too obvious. In order not to arouse Ma Baozhi's suspicion, Xiaochen picked up his wine cup again and turned to Ma Dragonfly, saying, Come, little dragonfly, fill this hero's cup. This hero is in a good mood tonight, drink a few more cups with me. You must drink to your heart's content. Okay. Ma Dragonfly was also confused by Xiaochen's actions, but he didn't dare to have any temper. He could only fill Xiaochen's cup with wine, then he picked up the cup again and drank with him. Burp. I say, the names of you father and son are quite interesting. Xiaochen shook his head as he drank the wine. He picked up his chopsticks and pointed at Ma Baozhi, saying, one is a crawling centipede, the other is a flying centipede. That's not right. Little dragonfly, why can't you fly? Looking at Xiaochen's astonished face, Ma Dragonfly couldn't keep up with his train of thought. After a long time, he squeezed out an ah. Xiaochen swung his legs and pointed at Ma Dragonfly with his chopsticks, saying, look at your old man, how happy he is crawling on the ground. Hurry up and fly to broaden this hero's horizons. I don't know how to fly. Ma Dragonfly was completely stunned. He didn't think that after Xiaofan drank too much, he would even joke about his name. He could only use his eyes to ask for help from his father. Ma Baozhi had just walked back to his seat and was about to explode when he heard Xiaofan's words. "Why am I crawling on the ground?" He almost couldn't tell if Xiaofan was really drunk, or if he was using the drunkenness to mock him. The furious Ma Baozhi directly ignored Ma Dragonfly's pleading look and pretended not to see it. "Motherf **, I can't do anything about this stupid Xiaofan. You brat, you caused this trouble yourself, so take responsibility for it." Chapter 860. TSK, you're too cowardly. You don't even know how to fly. Today, let this hero teach you a lesson. Let's show you off and fly. Xiaofan shook his head, put down the wine glass in his hand, and slapped Ma Dragonfly's face. "Pa!" A crisp sound was heard. Ma Dragonfly wailed miserably and was sent flying into the sky. "Io, Missy, look! That little dragonfly is flying quite high. Did he go up to the sky to shoot a plane?" Xiaofan squinted his eyes and pointed in the direction where Ma Dragonfly flew and said in surprise. "Pfft!" Cheng Menjing almost couldn't hold back her laughter. But when she heard Xiaofan say that he shot a plane, she blushed and glared at him. This Xiaofan is really too much. He never forgets to act like a hooligan no matter what. Ma Dragonfly was speechless. He was so angry that he lost his temper. Not only could he not flare up, but he also scolded in his heart. "Who asked you to force Xiaofan to drink? Now, not only did you let him use the influence of alcohol to ask all sorts of questions without restraint, but you also went up to the sky all day long. Most importantly, I can't even stand up for you. This is so depressing. Pa! Ah!" Another muffled sound was heard, followed by Ma Dragonfly's scream. He finally fell from the sky. He was dizzy and his face was covered in blood. He lay on the ground for a long time and couldn't get up. "Oh, you can still make two sounds. So you're also a double kick." Xiaofan stood up unsteadily and grabbed Cheng Menjing's hand. "Missy, we've drunk the wine and set off the firecrackers. Shouldn't we go back and have a beauty sleep?" "Oh, then let's go." Cheng Menjing agreed casually and then glared at Xiaofan, motioning him to let go of her hand. But Xiaofan didn't respond at all, as if he was really drunk. Cheng Menjing had no choice. She was also afraid that if she left Xiaofan behind, he would really be drunk. She couldn't do it without someone to help her. She could only let Xiaofan hold her hand and leave the dining room. Looking at the disappearing figures of the two, Ma Minju gnashed his teeth with hatred, but there was nothing he could do. He could only ask someone to carry his son to recuperate first, and the banquet ended hastily just like that. After stumbling back to the Cheng family's courtyard, Xiaofan immediately released his divine sense and scanned around to make sure that no one was watching him. Then he let out a long breath, stretched, and restored his original appearance. "Xiaofan, are you okay?" Cheng Menjing was stunned. Just now, Xiaofan was holding her hand and swaying as he walked. Why did he look much sober now? "I'm okay. I was playing with those two fools. Otherwise, how could I find out the whereabouts of my father?" Xiaofan shrugged and said in a clear tone. He didn't continue to speak with a lisp. So you were pretending? I thought you were really drunk. You're too good at pretending." Cheng Menjing was a little surprised. She couldn't help but think of the conversation between Xiaofan and Ma Dragonfly before. Then she realized that he was indeed trying to get information from the other party. Missy was a little emotional. Xiaofan was really a person who valued friendship and righteousness. Although he usually didn't talk about his father, he would try his best to find out when there was a chance. "How can I deceive them if I don't look like it?" Xiaofan scratched his head and said apologetically, I'm sorry. In order to pretend, I held your hand without your consent. You won't be angry, right? Humph. Forget it. Seeing that you're trying to find out news about Uncle Xiao, I'll reluctantly forgive you this time. Besides, I'm your fiancé. It's normal for me to hold your hand. Cheng Menjing saw that Xiao Chen was sincere in admitting his mistake. She snorted with satisfaction. But to be honest, Missy felt that it felt good when she was held by Xiao Chen's big hand. Hee hee. Since you've said so, then I'll find a chance to hold your hand a few more times in the future. Xiao Chen grinned and walked towards the direction of the room. You wish. I'm in a good mood, so I let you go. You even gave me some sunshine and I'm shining. Cheng Menjing glared at him and said with a pout. At this time, Xiao Chen had already sent Cheng Menjing to the door of her room. He didn't stay and said with a smile, all right, Missy. It's already very late. You should go back and have a beauty sleep. I should also go back to my room to take a bath. I've drunk so much wine, and the smell on my body is too strong. After that, Xiao Chen waved his hand and walked to his room without looking back. Cheng Menjing opened her mouth and wanted to say something. In the end, she didn't say anything for a long time. She stomped her feet angrily and pushed the door open. As she walked, she muttered hatefully, damn Xiao Chen, stinky Xiao Chen. After using this Missy, he ran away faster than a monkey. He didn't even chat with me for a while. I'm so angry. After Ma Qingting was sent back, he quickly woke up. The wounds on his body were basically some superficial wounds. Although they looked serious, he quickly recovered under the doctor's treatment. But although his wounds were healed, Ma Qingting was still scolded by Ma Qingting for a full hour. Ma Qingting was scolded until his face was covered in dirt, and he didn't dare to talk back. After Ma Qingting left, Ma Qingting's face turned from green to white, and he roared fiercely, damn it. Help me call Cheng Xiaofan over. He couldn't wait any longer. Tonight, he must take down Cheng Menjing. Although he was teased by Xiao Chen for so long and even slapped, at least his goal was achieved. Xiao Chen was already drunk and would definitely fall asleep when he got back. He wouldn't be able to care about Cheng Menjing. Thinking that she would be able to push down her goddess tonight, Ma Dragonfly's heart was burning with passion. She finished preparing everything and waited for Cheng Xiaofan to arrive. After planning for a while, she saw the moon in the middle of the sky and stealthily made her way to Cheng family's side courtyard. After Cheng Tianxiu and Cheng Zhongming left, only Cheng Menjing and Xiao Chen were left in the Cheng family's side courtyard. They lived in different rooms. It was already late at night, and the whole side courtyard was quiet. There was no sound at all. The two looked at each other and began to prepare according to the previous arrangement. Ma Qingting went directly to the door of Cheng Menjing's room, while Cheng Xiaofan stood guard nearby to prevent anyone, especially Xiao Chen, from disturbing them. Although Xiao Chen looked drunk, it was better to have a double insurance. Ma Qingting looked around, and after confirming that there was no one else, he quietly put some sleeping gas in Cheng Menjing's room. Then, he stood outside the door and waited patiently for a while. When he estimated that the sleeping gas in the room had almost dispersed, he gently pushed the door open and walked in. Menjing. Cheng Menjing. Ma Qingting tiptoed to the bed and looked under the moonlight. He found that it was indeed the sleeping Cheng Menjing, so he whispered a few words. Cheng Menjing's eyes were tightly shut, as if she didn't hear anything. Ma Qingting gently pushed her twice, and found that she wasn't moving. After confirming that she was unconscious, he took out a small porcelain bottle from his pocket, pulled out the stopper, and poured out a black pill. While putting the pill to Cheng Menjing's mouth, Ma Qingting excitedly murmured, "Hee hee, little hussy, you dare to pretend to be pure in front of me, but you pretend again, huh? Who's there?" Before he could put the pill into Cheng Menjing's mouth, Ma Qingting suddenly felt his shoulder being patted by someone. He was startled and quickly turned his head. But when he turned his head, Ma Qingting found that other than some furniture, there was no other person. He looked around, and there was still nothing. While he was puzzled, Ma Qingting felt a chill in his heart. But before he could react, a cold voice suddenly came from behind him. Ma Qingting, you little brat, are you capable now? You actually dare to use such despicable means to deal with my fiancé? A gloomy and horrifying voice said. Fiancé? When Ma Qingting heard the word fiancé, he thought that Yao Boang's corpse had come back to life. He was so scared that his scalp went numb, and his legs went weak. He gathered his courage and turned around, but he saw Xiaofan sitting on the edge of the bed. I wanted to keep you alive for a few more days, but now it seems like there's no need. Xiaofan sat there with his legs crossed, staring at Ma Qingting expressionlessly. Xiaofan. You're not drunk? Ma Qingting saw that it wasn't Yao Boang's corpse that came back to his senses. He couldn't help but wonder, that's not right. Why are you here? Did that brat, Xiaofan, slip away? Actually, Ma Qingting didn't know that although Xiaofan had been cultivating since he returned to his room, and his room was a little far from Cheng Menjing's room, he didn't let his guard down. He released his divine sense to monitor the movement in Cheng Menjing's room at all times, just in case something went wrong. When he sensed that someone had sneaked into the room, he immediately rushed over on his flying sword. The flying sword, which was made of meteoric iron, was so fast that it was almost like a shadow, so Xiaofan did not notice him at all. You don't have to worry about this. If you have the time, you might as well think about your last words first. Xiaofan stood up, channeled his mental cultivation, and revealed his Demon King Level 2 cultivation. He slowly walked toward Ma Qingting with a murderous aura bursting from his body. You. Don't mess around. Otherwise, my father definitely won't spare you. At that time, you, the Xiao family, and the Cheng family will all die without a burial place. Feeling the enormous pressure and murderous aura released by Xiaofan, Ma Qingting broke out in a cold sweat. She kept retreating as she bluffed and threatened. You're done, right? Then you can go and die. Xiaofan sneered, and the demonic qi on his body suddenly skyrocketed. He raised his hand and slapped at Ma Qingting's chest fiercely, dark flame palm. Ah! Ma Qingting didn't think that Xiaofan actually dared to make a move. Caught off guard, she took a solid hit and flew out with a miserable howl. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.